So I threw our body down the mine, and so far nothing.
And a story.
Oh, hi everyone.
A horror story.
Yeah.
A story about horror.
Oh, are we on?
That's fine. I think I've saved it. She had it coming.
I know. That was a lame joke, wasn't it?
We should probably go and tell people that we're live.
Far and
wide, spread the message of...
Welcome to Ghastly Tales, everyone.
Welcome and happy Beltane. Today's Beltane. Did you guys know today was Beltane?
I didn't even know what Beltane was until you mentioned it.
You know, Samhain, right? The Halloween at the end of the year when summer when it folds into winter. I don't even know what that means. When it passes into winter.
Folds into winter sounds a little disgusting. A little bit organic, a little bit biological.
Yeah, well, Beltane's the spring version of that when the summer spirits of light and
the David
light and
harmony
defeat the forces of darkness. So yeah.
That sounds very nice.
Yeah,
have we put any of this up on?
No, we have not.
No, right,
but
okay.
So these people that are here have got unique special access to it right now, and I think the people
premium access.
The people that are here are probably us.
I know,
but we have unique special access.
That's very true. Don't say that.
There's only 3 of us and there's 6 watching.
Oh, there you go.
So
maybe,
and that doesn't count the 3 of us. We're probably only counted as like 1.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Profit.
Alan's in the chat 6 times. Get 6 tabs open.
Good old Alan.
Right. Okay, I'm just now going to watch the live stream. This is good.
So how long?
Infinite feedback.
How long have you been indulging in Beltane then?
Well, there's a big Beltane Fire Festival over in Edinburgh every spring. I've been to it quite a few times. You probably
Why have I never ever heard?
Oh, is that what the
huge
Fire Festival
Beltane.
is related to? Someone
Beltane.
was talking about this the other day.
Beltane Fire Festival. There's this big kind of pseudo pagan.
I knew
art,
it. I knew it. You're one of those heathens.
The Calton Hill, the whole of Calton Hill's like covered like by giants. It's like the Wicker Man, you know, and there's lots of nude dancers and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Oh.
Yeah. Tits out. Tits, tits, fanning on the whole lot.
I mean, that's how you know it's
We're a PG show, Martin. Actually, best okay.
To be honest, I actually think everyone
non-sexual. It's non-sexual nudity. It's you know.
Free the nipple.
It's people
Free
talking about through
Is
fire.
tits a non-sexual term?
Well, no, tits probably isn't. Probably not. No. Mind you, according to YouTube now, pretty much everyone's family friendly. You know, if you want any money.
It's ridiculous. Right, I can't multitask. So you guys talk while I tweet this out.
Some people would say he can't task.
I can't single task either.
It's fine. Martin's prepared the jig.
Yeah. Have you guys been keeping up with the new Alien movie? Following what's going on with
yes.
that? Or
looking forward to it, and I think we should all go and see it.
yeah,
it's out on the 18th of May.
I've actually booked tickets. Me and Jim are going to see it.
You.
I go again. I'll go again with you guys.
No, that's fine. I can't say anything.
You got a cheek.
I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy with my wife.
Hey, that's mine. Is it not? Where's yours?
Oh, sorry.
Fucking hell.
Spread it around. Spread it around. Spread the love.
I mean, Coke. This is a family-friendly show, Martin. There's
Yeah.
no alcohol. No.
Pirates are family friendly and they drink rum.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah.
This is actually Pepsi, so look out for the little guy. You know,
I feel
those independent companies.
We're
how
Pepsi
smaller
hipsters.
is Pepsi than Coke though?
Not much.
About
Not much.
2%. Probably all owned
2%,
by the same Rothschild.
several $1 billion. 2%.
I thought Coke was substantially bigger than Pepsi.
I think Pepsi owns a lot of Does Pepsi not own like a share in Sony and all that? Like I think Pepsi's a pretty big conglomerate. It's not just. This is really not horror related, guys.
Well, we'll get to the horror in a minute.
We'll get to that. We should.
Martin's going to disrobe. Sorry, family
Family
show.
A lot of things have happened while we've been. I've realised that we haven't had our first proper sit-down live stream. We had a hangouts after it, but we've not had a proper sit-down live stream since kind of like November.
Yeah,
and such times, Martin's efforts to finally kill off David Rockefeller have succeeded.
Yeah.
After he's 11th heart transplant or something like that. It's fucking ridiculous.
I am feeling like this is a little bit too bright and breezy an area with all this daylight streaming in the window. I kind of feel like
it's not suitably horror enough.
I feel like Ghastly Tales has to be shot at night with like dirty orange street light.
Have you seen this? Because I can't use the top half of my screen because it's cracked.
You still got that shitty phone?
Yeah. So
mate, I'm gonna buy you a phone.
Right. Look, I have to do this. I have to turn it round to constantly be able to use bits of it.
I think I've had like 2 phones since you
when
wrote
I
that
have
one.
someone else's... I'm a poor writer, Martin. Don't rub
You're not
it
that bad at writing, mate.
Fuck you. Oh, family show.
Family show.
Sorry.
I actually think there's a chance my mum's watching this live stream because she's phoned me today and said,
Has Mum
I
ever
see
heard you
you're
swear
doing
before?
something at 5 p.m.
Does your mum not
Hi,
know
Mum.
you swear?
What?
No? Does your mum not know you swear?
My mum is a saint.
But does she know you swear?
Yeah.
Might be something to do with the fact that I called up his mum and said, Michael's going to be on the telly tonight. The internet telly, keep an eye out.
Does she know about the
I hope
cigarettes?
I've shared the right thing. I may have just
Does she
shared
know about the
something.
fags?
Do you smoke? Oh, actually,
Is that 2 separate things, or are you using fag in the...
The Bill and Ted.
Do you know about those boys?
Family friendly show. Since when were we family friendly? This is Ghastly
Horror,
Tales. There
horror.
are no safe spaces.
horror is absolutely family friendly.
Michael said that,
Cannibal
that
Holocaust.
YouTube's going to kill horror
family
anyway.
film, yeah.
So,
It is.
is that water? That's not water at all, is it? It's a very large gin and tonic.
It's very
I see
fizzy
the
water.
fizz. I see your fizz. And there's no San Pellegrino in this house, otherwise I would have had it.
Family friendly. Callum, this is water, carbonated water from Pepsi.
Oh, that's fine.
So we have a few talking points, some horror shenanigans. We haven't done much preparation for today's live stream, I must admit.
For today's live stream.
For
No, live
that's
streams.
not true. That's not true. We have done live streams where we've had like games sorted out. You've put stuff together on the computer
true.
technology side of things. I don't know why I said computer technology like I was 88.
One of the
Internet
computers.
computers.
I know, because she's on the internet. 'Cause she flies. That's a really, really.
Chewing the fat reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one guy. I know.
Yeah. So
Sure.
I went down the Mandela effect hole recently,
Okay.
right?
Oh God.
Oh, not another
So-
racial incident.
No. Do you know what the Mandela effect
Yes,
is?
yes,
Right,
yes.
Yeah. So
The
like,
Bernstein Bears.
yeah, all of that. So for those that don't know about the Mandela effect, it's this idea that there are many people around the world who claim that they remember in the 1980s. You're ruining it. You're ruining the ambience that I'm setting.
Sorry.
This is the Nelson Mandela's death, I think,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. So there are a lot of people who claim that they remember Nelson Mandela dying in the 1980s while he was still in jail, and that obviously didn't happen because he went on to be released and then he became leader of South Africa and all that jazz.
Do you want to laugh? Do you know what I used to think the Mandela effect was?
What did you think it was?
Spelling. Like, you know, the way people pronounce his name. I used to think the Mandela effect was that people all thought his name was one way for ages, and actually it was another way.
No, but
like
that's like the
Mandela
bit-
rather than
that's-
Mandela.
Mandela.
Well, that's the Bernstein Bears is
Yeah.
another example of that, and
But
all
that's
how
what I
it's
used to think
spelled.
it was.
So-
Sorry, carry on.
So the idea is that some people have a memory of Nelson Mandela previously dying, right, long before he actually did, and some claim that they even saw his funeral televised at the time during the 1980s.
Mhm.
So along with this, other people have started noticing that there are certain things that they thought were a specific way, and it turns out that they're not. The one that throws me the most is that you think about the Monopoly guy with the top hat and the monocle and the dinner suit, and he doesn't have a monocle.
Funnily enough, I've always remembered him with a monocle.
I've
never
loads
remembered
of
him with a
people.
monocle.
Right, so we're from.
But is a monocle not one of the playing pieces or something?
No,
Is it
no,
not some...
no.
No.
Do you not know Monopoly?
What
I know
version did
Monopoly.
you
I
have?
know.
Oh,
Some-
is it a dog,
some West End
I
version.
know.
Is it like a dog,
I
a
know.
car?
I want to go the parrot.
That's a Hasidic man.
So, the idea is that people are claiming now that they have memories which they believe are not false memories, they're not misremembering something, but that actually retroactively things have changed, somehow. So that at one point, Nelson Mandela...
Or they existed in a timeline where Nelson Mandela...
we'll get to
Right.
it. So
I'm going to eat some
so
roysters.
some...
Excuse the
Penny
noise.
crisps, Penny crisps. Oh, and Brannigans, as we mentioned before we went on live stream. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, leave Brannigan out of it.
I know. Yeah.
That's up there.
Brannigan, amazing. So the idea is that some people believe that Mandela did indeed pass away in the 1980s, and something happened to our timeline where everything was changed. Something was changed. The butterfly effect, maybe even something small in the past, and it's led to Mandela not dying in prison. But there's a whole bunch of other ones as well. Like I said, the Monopoly guy is the one that floors me because I always remember the Monopoly guy with the monocle. So but just let me finish. But I swear to God, this would not be a family-friendly show. So a lot of people talk about that one, and that one floors me a little bit because I always remember him with the monocle as well. There were a bunch of other ones as well. When people misremember lines from movies and things like that, some people try to claim that that's the Mandela effect. They're like
look, I am your sister.
Like look, I am your father is one of them. Yeah. Because he never says that.
Look,
so
he never says look.
So you're getting annoyed. So that's the idea. There's a subreddit which is fascinating about this
glitch?
Because there's a Mandela effect on Reddit, and people are constantly listing things in their lives that they think was a Mandela effect. Now the dangerous thing here is that the chances are, from a conventional perspective, it's just the fact that memory is so inaccurate.
Human memory is pretty fallible.
We don't encode memories properly in the first place a lot of the times, and then our recall can be messed up as well. So we can associate things like the Monopoly guy. You can associate the rich guy with the top hat and a dinner suit with a monocle.
Because a monocle that's what I was going to say. Like part of the traditional image of like a rich old English, banker is that he's got the monocle, and that's part of the image. And the fact that the Monopoly guy doesn't have it, you almost assume.
Banking is a very disappointing experience these days. They're all wearing cheap suits from Burton. When you turn up there, they're just like, you brought some money. There's none of that anymore. It's rubbish.
But I went down this Mandela effect hole. I nearly said I went down Mandela's hole, but that didn't happen.
Well, that's what is that? Oh shit. What's the? I'm trying to remember that terrible Winnie Mandela joke.
No,
you remember that first.
There's also the Nelson's column one.
Yeah, it was different previously. It's changed. It's the Mandela effect. I say the Mandela effect.
You've already. That's it. It's in action.
But I found it fascinating reading this subreddit because what's a little bit worrying, right, is that there are all these people who now evaluate their lives through the lens of the Mandela effect. Yeah. So if they misremember something, or they think that it was something else,
they're infallible. It's time itself that's fallible.
The universe is altered around them.
Yeah.
But that little bit of what ifery that I always like to sit in, I think it's quite an interesting idea. Because like some people talk about parallel timelines and many worlds interpretation of physics and things like that, where people are like, well, maybe at some point, maybe you go to sleep or you walk through a door, or at some point you've went into a different timeline, and all the people who remember it differently come from that timeline, and somehow we're all merged.
It depends how you look into it as well, because I mean, if you subscribe to the theory that if you subscribe to the fact that chaos theory doesn't exist and we're not all predetermined and that actually we're making our own decisions, then technically every single time you do something, it splits into a new universe, and that's equal to every single other person.
Yeah, it's like it's this thing that like there's many universe theory,
infinite possibly.
It's believable, but the idea that there's something special about people that would allow the human consciousness to traverse that is a different thing.
That's also there's a problem with consciousness there, because with the many worlds interpretation, if every single moment splits into all the different possibilities, the consistency of, or rather the continuity of consciousness is a real issue, because if that were the case,
I did a narration about this.
Then why? Oh, that's right. You did one recently. What was it called again?
It was called Today I Turned 162, and it's based on the theory of quantum immortality, that if every time the universe splits, every time something happens to you that has more than one potential outcome, and in the multiverse theory, the universe would split, several ways depending on the different outcomes. Your consciousness would always stick to the timeline in which you survive. So if a situation arises where a car's coming towards you, when you get hit by the car, and it could go either way, you could die or you could live. Your consciousness doesn't exist in the universe where you died, so you will always stick to the one where you survive. And the chances of you dying, obviously, as you get older, increase. And from our perspective, our elderly grandparents and everything, they pass on, they die. But perhaps from their perspective, their consciousness sticks to the timeline where they survive against ever decreasing odds, effectively becoming immortal.
I firmly believe though there's certain people like the Kardashians that have only ever existed on one timeline because they're not able to think outside any other than set parameters. I think they've never created any other timelines.
I'm just laughing at the fact that people are going to come into this live stream and be like
Kardashians.
Or this
We're
is
so
this,
sassy.
This is some sort of
I've been
physics.
neglecting a comment. Jackie boy, good to see you,
Hello,
mate. It's been a
Jackie
while. He's saying, watch Nightmare on Elm Street 4 earlier on Views. That's not Dream Warriors, is it? That's the third one, isn't it?
3.
Four.
Is it not
What
the
is
Dream
4?
Baby or something? The Dream Child? Dream
The
Baby.
Dream Baby. Dream Baby.
I haven't actually seen it.
Hang on.
I've seen all of them, but it's been a long time.
Dream Master.
Dream Master.
Ah, it must be 5 that's the baby.
Right, here's the description. Right, this is really going to help you remember. It says, grotesque Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, gives some more suburban teenagers something to dream about.
Nice.
Could have been fucking any of them.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. As someone who hasn't seen the film,
Yeah.
asked, going to come up with a blurb. Okay? No problem. And that happens all the time. Especially writers
1988.
getting paid for things, and it's like,
Yeah.
no worries.
Terror beyond your wildest dreams was the tagline, but
That one. Oh.
probably not.
I always
Everything
remember the first film. Remember the opening to the second one with the school bus,
On top of the
which always
mountain
scared
and-
me.
Yeah.
I remember the Dream Warriors. Is that the third one?
Yeah, it's on with Nancy.
That's when
what's
they're
her
all
name
in
back
and they've
it.
got
Yeah.
they've got all the abilities in the dreams.
Yeah.
I don't really remember 4 or 5. I remember Freddy's Dead, which is the 6th one because it was 3D, and a friend of mine who's sadly no longer with us went to the cinema to see Freddy 6 when it came out, and he sat there the whole time with the 3D glasses on, and he kept turning round to my other friend and saying, "This is amazing, it just looks amazing." And then in the last 20 minutes of the film, it comes up on the screen and says, "Now put your glasses on." So the whole time he was watching Freddy Krueger thinking it was like it was 3D.
I'm not particularly familiar. I've only seen the first one, but
New Nightmares, very good. It's got a really clever idea.
is Dream Warrior, or is this the one that they never actually filmed, or is Dream Warriors the one where a bunch of like people put themselves into like an induced coma to go and beat up Freddy, or is that the script that was never made?
No, that's
Dream Warriors
that's,
is the one where they're all in, it's like a mental home or something for,
Yeah,
for
right.
like
They've
disturbed
gone
So
to
that's
the-
maybe the script that they
one of
never
them.
made.
One of them thinks he's a wizard in the dream and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
and-
yeah.
yeah. What is the third one got the famous telephone the famous television kill where Freddy's a TV?
Yeah, that's Dream Warriors.
that
I'm
one?
sure.
Yeah.
What's the one where Freddy traps a guy inside a Nintendo and then like starts playing the
That
game?
might be the third one as well. I think the third one was really when it hit its stride and people
Yeah.
started like cheering Freddy on.
I think was the third one not like probably the second best of the series though.
Yeah.
I would imagine it'd be
Absolutely.
4
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
after, like, people get so fed up and
New
just want
Nightmare is
to-
really interesting.
It is Nightmare 3 that I'm thinking of, because Wes Craven originally wrote one where like a bunch of people, like almost like an occult type thing, put themselves into like a trance so they could get into his world, and then they like beat the shit out of Freddy, which was I guess a kind of
Wes
flip on
Craven,
the.
no. Remember, what's the film that Wes Craven made? The one about the Shocker. The guy,
Shocker.
Is that what it's called? Funnily enough. Well,
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm
Shocker.
Street's not called Nightmare on Elm Street's not.
That's the symbol for the shocker.
Is it?
Shocker.
And that was the. that was
Get it?
No, let's carry on. It's family friendly, mate. Keep going.
The shocker.
family friendly show.
Horror.
It's
it's horror.
horrific. I mean, the thing is, it was funny with Freddy Krueger. He is probably the best example of a horror villain who was just completely turned into a cartoon.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Jason Voorhees kind of got that way eventually. Kind of got like, especially Jason X, which is a real guilty pleasure of mine. I remember going to see Jason X in the cinema, and everyone slated it, and I remember going, I actually quite enjoyed that because it was so schlocky and it was just fun.
The thing about Jason is he doesn't have any personality, so it's hard for him to become cartoonized.
But the
scenarios become.
I remember laughing my ass off in the cinema because when they were in like the sort of holodeck thing in Jason X, and he's got the sleeping bags. He's got the sleeping bags with the teenagers in them, and he's just rattling the sleeping bags in it, and they're moving around inside.
Is that the one where there's like that female android and he punches its head off?
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, and
she fucking ruins him though.
Yeah, well, but then he gets like that reconstruction metal thing, and then it's just like,
that's fucking convenient that he just so happened to die on top of that machine that reconstructs things.
Should have looked into that.
I remember
keep on
the
waiting.
beginning is quite interesting. Is it not? Is the beginning not like
it's
set on nowhere? Is it? And they're getting chased by him.
Oh yeah. Before that, right? Yeah, it's like set in the present day, and he's been captured by the U.S. government. And he's been held in chains, and David Cronenberg is like a scientist that wants to take him to the US Army. He wants to take him to like some sort of army research base, and the woman doesn't want to let him go. And then in the argument, he basically escapes, kills everyone, and then they freeze the entire facility to stop him escaping. And then in about like 1,000 years,
that's the thing. He's talking about the thing.
No, and then in 1,000 years. It basically is
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
In 1,000 years, a spaceship lands and just on Earth and happens to open up the.
As long as Keith David's there as well.
Sorry?
Keith David's not in enough. You ever seen the Spawn TV show?
Keith David's in the voice of Spawn. It was
Kelly wants to know what we think of Alien Covenant. What do we think of the Neomorph?
I am interested. I want to see it, but I was so let down by Prometheus that I'm kind of like, and some of the shots in the trailer where they show you the alien and out in daylight,
a little bit too,
and it's just too much.
Remember when we went to see Logan, right?
Yeah.
I had an argument, and God bless him, I can't remember the chap's name. Is it potentially Stuart's girlfriend's boyfriend? No, Stuart's sister's boyfriend.
That's exactly who it is, Callum.
Stuart's sister's boyfriend. Anyway, he turned round to me and during the trailers for it, and the new Alien one came on, he said, "This is the sequel to Aliens." I said, "No, it's not." I said, "This is sequel to Prometheus." He said, no, this is the one with like Sigourney Weaver and everything. And I was like, no, it's not. And I had to do that tightrope because I'd only really just met him, and I'd already committed the social faux pas according to you. And I was in a cinema. I was in a cinema. We'll tell him in a minute. But we were in a cinema.
No. Let's not like glaze over that fact. Callum, we went right. It was a mixed group of people that like. We didn't. Well,
let's preface this by saying I didn't have my glasses with me and I'm short-sighted.
That's nothing to do with why this happened.
We went into the cinema.
We went into the cinema. Some of Stuart's friends were there who I know a little bit. Callum hadn't met them before, and so one of Stuart's friends was like one of the first people to go up, and he was like, they were like, "Oh, where'd you want your seat?" And it's like, "Well, we'll all sit together." So he was like, up closer to the back.
It was right up the back.
Right. And Callum just looked at me like, where'd you get this guy from? And then, so that's what he was going to do. And Callum just went, listen, I'm not sitting there. If they're all sitting up there, that's fine. Just give me a seat on. I'm going to give 5 seats up the back and 1 seat on its own down here in the middle. Which, do you know what? I love you for that. That was amazing. That like, I found it hilarious.
I wouldn't have seen shit without my glasses.
but you were right though, because I said as well. I said, well, it's better if we're all sitting in the middle because those are the best seats. That's the end of that story, everyone.
Yeah.
Anyway,
was really
so
interested in
basically, I had to mess with this thing because
the guy didn't know him though. The guy didn't know him. The guy was looking at me like
he knows him now.
So in a Larry David desk type thing, I was like, this it doesn't matter. I'll never see this guy again. I'll never see this guy.
I'm not sitting next to this fool. And I was sitting next to this
jabroni,
you know.
But and that's the thing.
Nice guy.
He was very nice, but you know, at the end of the day, I got the seat I wanted, and everyone else ended up sitting in the middle, and they were better for it. But anyway, this guy, he's constantly going to me, he's like, oh no, this is like the sequel to Aliens, and I'm just like, so I had to measure myself, because I know the trailers aren't the film, but it's still the point where you kind of want to chill out and not be talking so much, which I'll get into again in a minute, as a separate thing.
Oh no.
And the whole time I was just like, no, this is separate, and he was watching more and more of it, and he got all the way through it and he didn't see any like Michael Biehn or any like Sigourney Weaver, and he was just like, it was ticking in his head. He's like, maybe I'm wrong at the end of it, and then he was just like, that's what I heard. I was just like, all right, cool. But I was just like, I really wish that film was coming out, the Neil Blomkamp one, but I think it's been shelved for the longest time.
Well, I think it sounds like Ridley Scott's actually saying, he came out the other day and said, oh, there wasn't even a script. For people that don't know, basically, Neil Blomkamp, is that his name?
Fucking bloody Ridley Scott can say what he wants though as well.
He directed District 9 and Chappie and Elysium. And,
originally a Halo film. It was like a Halo short film, and then District 9 he shot. Brilliant film, which apparently he said he never originally wrote with a sequel in mind. He just shot it and then it came together in the edit and he started to think, fuck, there's a sequel opportunity there. But I think what happened is he never really had the chance to go back to it, because then he made Elysium and then he made Chappie. To be honest, having seen both of them, fair play to the guy for making new stuff. Like, I've got a lot of time for Neil Blomkamp for making new material and trying to get new franchises out there. But I would have rather he'd went and done District 10. But then there's that other flip side of it as well, where it's like, are you going against the whole thing of going like, well, he's just established the thing, stick with it. But I really liked the universe he created in District 9. No, it was quite a gritty, and also as well the fact that he set it in like South Africa as well. It kind of dealt with the apartheid issue a little bit. There was a bit of pre-existing political mess there. We'll put it that way. But it was interesting from the point of view that setting it somewhere rather than the traditional, like, they've appeared over the White House again. It's just like, fuck.
Or London even. Yeah.
Who's going to burn it down this time? Not the Canadians. But yeah, no.
I don't know what he means.
I don't know either. I'll just
the
laugh
Canadians burned down the White House. The Canadians burned down the White House.
In history?
Yeah. But
okay. Really?
And the British and the Canadians burned down. That's why it's painted white.
Alright, okay.
Yeah,
cover the fire damage.
Yep.
Donald Trump's burning it down now as well.
Why was it called the White House before?
I can't remember what it was called before. I think it was just called like America House.
Right.
Freedom House!
The what did you say?
The Michael House.
Oh yeah, the White House. That's my second name, everyone.
But what I was going to say is, to bring it back to the cinema thing, I went and saw Get Out. Have any of you guys seen it?
I really
thoroughly recommend going and see it. One of the best horror films I've seen in the longest time. Probably actually one of the best horror films I've seen, and it's the guy's directorial debut as well. I think as well.
It's not part of a comedy duo in America, like on television or something like that.
I think he is. He's got a bit of an interesting background, but excellent director, and it kind of it touches on a lot of these kind of issues of kind of like white America and like like these kind of like liberals as well of trying to like
liberals.
No, but these people that are trying too hard to like they're not seeing people as people and they're trying to relate too hard. No, they're digging a hole. Watch the film.
Liberals digging
a hole for them and yourself. They're just climbing right
I'm fine down the hole. I will mine that hole and get something out of it. But anyway, absolutely excellent film, and it touches on a lot of interesting issues, but there's some excellent horror in it as well. So if you're looking for a horror film that's come out in more recent years, Get Out is definitely one to see. I was fortunate that it was still on. There was a late night screening of it, because I was trying to get to see Free Fire, Ben Wheatley's new film. But that had already been out, but there was one screening of Get Out. Managed to get to see it. Very much recommend it. It's excellent.
Back to Aliens.
Yep.
Neil, is it Blomkamp?
Blomkamp.
Yeah. He basically
Mandela.
Yeah, I know. His name used to be Blomkamp.
Does anyone want another soft drink?
Soft drink?
Yes, please.
I'm fine, thanks.
Oh, can I have a Capri Sun, please?
A Capri Sun. A Capri rum.
It's the wrong eye. It's the wrong eye,
Thanks.
Cal.
No, sorry.
That
was involved.
So
Thanks.
he basically did some pre-production stuff for a supposed film. Like it was all conceptual artwork, as if aliens if like Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection and all
It
that
never
never
happened.
happened. And so you have
They're
like
excellent
Hicks when
paintings.
he's older, Ripley when she's older, Newt when she's older, and the artwork looked amazing. And unfortunately, like everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Fox, you've got to make this," and they seem to be like, "Right, yeah, we're going to make this." And then Ridley Scott's just basically said, "No, we're making my Alien films."
Yeah.
And you're just like, Ridley, you've had a go.
Yeah.
Let someone else have a go.
Thing is, would you argue with him after what happened to his brother?
Is that what you think happened to that? You think that?
Tony said something, and now Tony's in the fucking drink.
We don't know. We don't know.
You know, they've changed the logo for Scott Free as well. For years it was that...
It's the bird?
No, it was the tree. Remember, like, time's gone by, it was the tree, and now it's a bird. Which is... It means something. It means something about Tony. I'm going to get to the
Well,
bottom.
Ridley Scott's like, I never liked trees.
Yeah, that was fucking Tony.
Ridley
Now
said,
Tony's
"Can you fly,
gone.
Tony," and then threw him off the bridge.
Can you fly, Tony?
Oh, God.
um,
That's still one of the strangest things. No one seems
Thanks
to
very
know
much. Yeah,
why
what
Tony
happened?
Scott committed suicide.
Because he didn't.
I'm always really afraid that he... Because remember there was loads of rumours that he had cancer?
Yeah.
And then...
Cancer.
And they said that there wasn't a sign of any cancer in his body.
Maybe he made a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, but
Because
that's
it
what I
wasn't
mean.
his body they found.
No. It was it
They
Ridley's?
never found
It's
it.
actually Tony Scott that's alive.
Switched.
That'd be amazing. Can you imagine it, right? This is the thing.
Tony Scott's for me.
Tony Scott has replaced Ridley Scott, and he's fucked Ridley into the sea because he never got past Top Gun. Fuck. This is interesting. You know what? We're going to say this, and tomorrow it'll be the front page of the Daily Mail and the Sun.
Potentially.
Anonymous sources have revealed.
That's right.
Ghastly Tales.
Fuck. That's actually more believable.
What, that Ridley Scott... Well, Tony Scott...
We're getting into Mandela effect
Murdered
territory
Ridley
here again.
Scott.
Yeah.
Got plastic surgery
Yeah.
to look like Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
So like...
Bear in mind they've got a lot of the same genetic makeup anyway.
So
So it
Tony
wouldn't take-
Scott text messaged Ridley Scott to meet him on that bridge.
Yeah.
When Tony Scott turned up, when Ridley Scott turned up rather, he met Tony and he turns around and Tony's like, I have your face now.
But it's all a thing,
just look
and he
like
was
him.
like, "Oh, turn up! I've got cancer." And Ridley's like, "Oh fuck!" So Ridley turns up. Then he pushes him off the bridge. They find Ridley's body,
Get
and
in
they're
this
like,
cannon, Ridley.
No.
they're
What he
like-
said was he phoned him and said, "I'm going to throw myself off this bridge." So Ridley showed up to try and
"Nah,
talk
he
him out
wouldn't
of
leave,
it.
he wouldn't
showed
leave
him
the
up to
text
talk him out
evidence.
of
He
it.
wouldn't leave the text evidence because Tony's not got that reach to clear it up. Now he's Ridley. He's got all the reach he needs. And he's
What I'm saying is, Ridley can just kill people left, right,
This is like,
centre.
I think Ridley Scott and James Cameron have reached this kind of like Illuminati status.
Only there's two of them
Right.
doing that.
Yeah, the two-nati, right? It used to be mono-nati, right? But now it's duo-nati, right? But I think because James Cameron just seems to have an endless pot of money, and he's always up to shit, looking for Atlantis and stuff like
Did
that.
you see the...
Vincent Vinacava says, "Mike, you should have come down to Long Beach to Stoker 2017. There were guys walking around in kilts, so you wouldn't even have been the only porridge walk."
Oh,
Nice.
nice, Vincent. How you doing, Vincent?
Underutilized
Clever,
word
see.
wog,
Sorry.
probably for good reason, but
You don't use that word.
yeah. But what was I going to say? You should have come down. Is he aware of your geographic status? For you to get down,
It's been a camera.
yeah, no, but to
It
get
is-
down,
It
It's
is,
a
it
very
is down.
he's a
It
very
is still
famous
down.
man.
It's north.
it's over fucking
north.
there.
It is, but it's still south.
What are you talking about?
What?
To
To
down-
Stoker? Where is Stoker? Long Beach.
Also, Mickey the Cat
Aye.
wants to
Long
know if
Beach.
you're quitting making creepypastas. Yes, he is.
Martin doesn't like me putting the term creepypasta and everything. No, no, not at all. But I never wrote creepypastas really. Like, I think there's like maybe...
Oh, he's above it.
No, not at all. I just wrote horror stories and I shared them online. But there's like
Prefer the term literature.
maybe
Art.
three. No, not at all. It's just that I think creepypasta has now become synonymous with online
Right.
horror, right? No, online horror, right? But when I think of a creepypasta, I do think of something that has a very specific framework to it.
Yeah.
It's in first person.
It's something that happened to
It's
you when you were a
something-
child.
Or it's something that's contemporary most of the time. Sometimes it can be meta, like it has these tropes.
Stories
I
involving
think.
bedtime, those kind of things.
Yeah, anything with beds in it is a creepypasta.
Deathbed, the bed.
Do you know
that
the
eats.
beautiful thing about creepypasta now is it's really accessible because on the new website anyone can get on it, so anyone can write creepypasta now.
Yeah.
So it's great. That's it, and that's the one positive.
The new owner of creepypasta.com seems to be putting like up loads of stories.
I hope they're writing it.
although-
I really hope it's all stuff
you
they've
think about
written,
it, you think
and
about
it's
it,
like this
know.
failed author that's
They
just like,
go like,
I've got this forum now. I'm going to put all my stories up. This Garth Marenghi going at it. We're going to get slasher 1, slasher 2, slasher 3.
Jeff the Killer
I
6.
They're all set in some borough in Yorkshire.
I love creepypasta as a genre. I think it's a wonderful thing that people can just write online horror stories. But I think it's the same way with like a no sleep story is a specific thing, and I think creepypasta is kind of it's become
I
synonymous
think it's moved
with
away from
online
its
horror.
roots though, because if you think about it, it started off as stories that people wrote somewhere on the internet that would get copied and pasted around.
Yeah.
Hence copypasta, creepypasta, and very often they'd be presented as if this was a real thing that happened. You know, like the Goatman story and that kind of thing.
But there's like a human
And then
nature thing
now
where
it's-
people
now
need recognition for things after a point. You know, when
Yeah.
something gets so big,
Yeah.
I think
only
that's what
certain
happens.
people
But it-
are happy to stand back and go, I'm glad that's got that
But is
big.
it
Some people need to step in
but is
and
it
go,
still-
yes, I did write
Is it
bedtime.
still is it still creepypasta if people are taking credit for it and saying, no, you can't use my story, you can't publish my story there, you can't do this with that, you know, the whole
Can't narrate it or whatever.
Exactly. Well, yeah. But you know, if you take it back to the origins of it, it was stories generally anonymous. Nobody
I think
knows where they
that's-
came from.
Yeah.
Jeff the Killer.
I think that's totally. I
Okay,
think
we know now
I think
who's
that's totally right. I do
Slender
think.
Man,
I think
but-
there's
They're
been.
about to say we know now who
I think-
Jeff the Killer is. We've caught him!
I think there's.
Jeff is
I think
in-
there's been different waves of like writers in the creepypasta community. I think like the first ones were like you say they were all anonymous. It was people just sharing normally very short, couple of paragraphs at most.
Yeah.
Stories.
I'm going to pass that to you because
And
Martin's not been reading the comments. Vincent Vinocaris
I'm
said
reading the
some very
comments.
nice things.
Oh, that's lovely. I'll.
That was the kind of that was like when you opened
I
the
know.
present, your grands gets knitted you a sweater. Oh, that's lovely.
I've not
that's
actually
lovely.
made a
Anyway,
LinkedIn profile, but
Thanks very much.
I'd
Vincent.
quite like to set up Porridge Wog as my subtitle. I like that descriptive term, it's very good.
Yeah, I think there was like different waves of like writers in the creepypasta community. There was the first ones were like anonymous, like you say. Then people started, like their names started getting associated with like certain stories, and because I feel like I was kind of in that like second wave, like, with like Slime Beast and people like that. Round about that sort of same time, about 2012, and then I think there's been like another wave of like newer writers now who like are all.
Well,
doing
you
really well.
you originally did No End House, right, and then later on the author
no,
came
no,
out.
I narrated it.
No, you
narrated
didn't write it. Sorry, I will clarify.
Oh, you wrote it.
Yeah, sorry. You narrated No End House, right? But at the time there wasn't an author.
No. I narrated No End House at that time, and as far as I'm
Thanks,
aware,
mate, Juice.
as far as I'm
It's a
aware,
lovely name.
to the present day, I don't know. Maybe you guys can correct me on this. As far as I'm aware, to the present day, no one has claimed.
No,
credit
Michael
for
says
No
some
End
guys
House.
come out now.
There was No End House 2 and 3, which were both written by the same person, and people assume that the first one was. I don't know if the guy that wrote No End House 2 and 3 actually did write part 1. They seem like they've got a different style, but I think.
That's interesting.
I don't know who wrote No End House. Certainly at the time I narrated it, I did a little bit of research and I couldn't find out who actually wrote it.
I suppose that's the thing as well. I
Slime
mean,
Beast
what's
said
this
that thing on one of his videos that like we narrated it without quoting the author, but I genuinely don't know who the author
after
was.
but I think that was before the writer of No End House. He ended up
Because it was for a
selling
TV deal,
the
wasn't it?
rights
Yeah.
to the sci-fi series, and I think that's when his name came out. And it was
Right.
public.
So it would have been after that was
Yeah, I
narrated.
think
Vincent
so.
Vinocaris said they actually
I'll go
found the
back
No
and
End
have a-
House guy.
Yeah,
What's that? They found the No End House, right?
yeah,
okay,
Channel
okay.
Zero. Yeah, that's the series.
Okay, but I mean that was like
I think that's-
after
I think that's what
I mean it
happened.
must have been 2 years ago. 3 years
Ridley
ago.
Scott's got him as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. But I'll go back. I'll find out who it is and I'll change it. But I mean, certainly when I narrated it,
I think
there was
it's also I think it's a learning curve as well, because I think the whole thing with like not crediting people, it is technically correct, and absolutely I think like writers should be credited.
Oh
for
no,
the work.
yeah, don't get me
But
wrong.
but what I would say is that like when I first set up Ghastly Tales, there was a few videos that I did that were like I would just put by unknown, like I didn't know who the writer was, and I would put in the description, if anyone knows who wrote this, let me know, and I'll put it up or I'll take it down if they don't want me to do it. And I wasn't like, at that point I wasn't monetizing anything either, so I wasn't like,
you can't monetize it now anyway. It doesn't matter.
The channel's been universally demonetized.
We've lived well in that 17 pence this channel has made.
Oh yeah. Well, with the exchange rate and all that.
That's right. We're moving to Cuba.
But just to clarify the thing about I love creepypasta as a genre, but thing is, it's like Vincent is in the channel at the moment. Like, I don't think he's really a creepypasta writer. I think he's a horror writer.
Well, let's ask him. What are you?
Who does
define yourself who
does some creepypasta, but I think there's like, so I think that, whereas I think there are writers like Milos Bogetic did stuff on like No Sleep, but it was very much like the story of her holding an orange, and that was totally like a sort of creepypasta type story, you know.
To me, what was kind of chilling about early creepypasta when you didn't know who wrote it, it had more of the ring of truth about it, because it was like anonymous confessions on random web forums that would then go viral. Yeah. And it wasn't this big thing where people would write a formal story with sort of literary descriptions and post it in a literary site and say, this is a story I've written that's a creepypasta. The whole idea of it was like you didn't know where it started and you didn't know where it came from, like things like, I don't know, Smile Dog and that kind of thing.
I still remember seeing some original stuff on 4chan, like back.
Yeah, well, a lot. That's where it started.
Not that 4chan was ever good, but
like 4chan, the X, sub what was it? Sub.
There was still, there was always stories like green text stories and stuff like that posted up there, and many days. Not that it was ever the best forum for posting stories. That's for sure. It's not a great format for that, but it's interesting how it's kind of evolved. Or devolved in the current situation.
Goatman story started off as a green text thing, which is one of the first big creepypastas before.
But there's things before it was called creepypasta as well, like Ted the Caver.
The Caven site.
There were things out there. Vincent's at the Stoker Awards right now.
Have we got a live reporter on this?
No, because I saw tweets that you put up with the ship that you were next to. God, my memory's terrible. That was just like yesterday, the day before. It's awful.
That's the thing. You just wait for Bram to go, and then all of a sudden, let's get his name and set up a festival.
Funny though.
The White House Festival.
It's funny though.
That in a few years.
Yeah, it's funny though how like with like Bram Stoker it's fine, but like H.P. Lovecraft like because awards and things. Of course, he was a rampant racist and anti-Semite.
But at the same time, like, do you really want to play with the dice that Cthulhu isn't real? Like, it's like you want to set up an H.P. Lovecraft festival in a small fishing town and see what happens.
Yeah, but no, I do think I'll be interested to see where creepypasta goes. I kind of feel at the moment that there's a dip.
Yeah,
I think it's reached sort of peak popularity.
It's reached that
popularity, and then I think it's dipping a little bit at the moment. I think it will come back, but I think because one of the things I was concerned about with like creepypasta.com changing the owners is that it's like one of the only really proper creepypasta sites that had a great editorial process.
It's a big undertaking. I mean, I assume they were making reasonable money off the AdSense, but it must have been a big undertaking to moderate that many stories.
I feel like that we're at saturation point now where people, sort of good authors, are trying to distance themselves from the creepypasta
Queen
label.
Mary, that's right. How can I forget the Queen Mary?
That's on topic, is it?
That was the boat. Sorry,
right.
I'm just... Right.
I think good authors are trying to distance themselves from the creepypasta logo, the creepypasta label. Sorry, and it's become kind of synonymous with quite a lot of low quality stuff. But I think that's the unfortunate thing that's happened.
Yeah, but I think it's a public thing though, so it's going to be the majority of it's not going to be great. That's because so many. But what I mean is at one point, yes, thousands of people write stories. Most of it's shite. Few quite good ones, and the good ones were the ones that got seen, and everyone talked about those ones. Hold on, Callum, right? Whereas now the creepypasta has become synonymous with the shites. The people who are writing good stories are not putting people who have are able to distinguish the good from the bad. A lot of them are not putting the creepypasta label on
they're producing.
No, yeah.
And even if you go on like No Sleep and stuff, they hate the term creepypasta. They don't use it.
Yeah, but I kind of like, because me and you might have a slightly different opinion on this, but I do think that I kind of feel more kind of proud to have been like, as much as I didn't mean to. He's gonna keep his hand up this whole time. As much as I didn't mean to, like, I didn't really know a lot about creepypasta when I shared those stories.
Yeah.
Like I say, originally they were No Sleep stories actually. It's still been lovely being part of that.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, it's sort of changed my life. It's sort of made it go down a certain road off a cliff. but you know, now I'm a poor writer as opposed to a poor psychologist. So that's good.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What are the best stories written under Richard Bachman, the pen name for Stephen King?
I
not read it. I know the
really
Running
did
Man
like The Running Man. The Running Man.
Is that under
excellent.
Richard Bachman?
Yes.
Fuck
But
me.
it's nothing like the movie.
Yeah, no, it's very
more
different.
like in the TV show Hunted.
Is
actually.
Dynamo in the book?
No.
The operatic?
No.
He's one of my
God
favourite.
me, my
Oh,
love.
they died in these white fronts. Right.
It's amazing.
Okay. What the best and worst of Richard
Yeah, you
Bachman
keep looking at
books?
this, and I feel you're looking at my crotch. So.
Did I not leave a review on one of your stories under Richard Bachman? I'm sure I did. And you were
I
just
think
like,
you did, and
this
I was
guy's
like,
left
don't-
this review, and you were like really annoyed about it. And then I was like, yeah, it was me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you do get strange reviews. We got our first negative review of the podcast on
Oh, did we?
on iTunes.
No, but the thing is, it was 3
It still
stars.
It was 3 stars, which is fine. But yeah, it was
Mike was after
absolutely
him.
caning me. He was absolutely
you?
caning- Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was me because
Fuck.
like he's like basically like the stories are good, the narrator's terrible.
It can
and
be
then,
me.
And then he's like, I
Can be
doubt
me.
it. You're like fucking.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
In terms of narrators,
I'll ream
Yeah.
off a couple of books, and you can tell me
You're
if you're
really-
familiar with
Yeah.
it. Rage.
Rage
Yeah,
is one that
that-
Stephen King actually has pretty much denounced, hasn't he? He doesn't really
is that the
want it.
school?
Yeah,
one?
is that like School Shooter or something
Yeah,
like
it's
that?
like-
Yeah.
Topical.
Yeah.
Right, so that's a Richard Bachman. The Long Walk.
I don't know.
In future America, the marathon is the ultimate sports competition. That sounds remarkably like Running Man.
Running Man,
Which is also a Richard Bachman. Roadwork.
No.
His life was in the path of a wrecking ball, but he wouldn't budge. That sounds good. I'm going to read that.
That's good.
The
Yeah.
cover
You
of
need to do that in a Garth Marenghi voice. His life was in the path of a wrecking ball,
Blood.
but he wouldn't budge.
Blood.
And then the Running Man. I guess Running Man seems to be the most popular one under.
Running Man's excellent.
There's another Bachman one that's quite famous. It's not Thinner, is it?
Yeah, that was Richard Bachman.
So I'm just going by what's been written on this.
The funny thing is, like, I'm a really big fan of Stephen King, but when I think about it, I think, you know, I'm trying to think what I've read of his. It's not all that much. It's like I've read The Shining, I've read Salem's Lot, I've read On Writing, I've read a bunch of his short story collections.
I feel like Stephen
I've
King's
read-
always strongest in his short stories.
Yeah, I've
actually.
read The Dark Half. I've
Yep.
read Bag of Bones, which I really enjoyed because I thought it was very different from everything else that he's done. I think I maybe read a couple of others, but really when I think about it, it's like, for someone who I would definitely put down as like a big influence on me, like I haven't read a ton of his work.
I am one of the few people who's written more books than he's read.
yeah.
That's
Pretty close,
interesting.
by the
The,
way,
Ri-
isn't it?
the Richard Bachman thing's always kind of fascinated me as well. It's like the fact that you get a lot of authors that write stuff, and they write like maybe one story that becomes very, very big.
Yeah.
And then after that, they fail to live up to it. But
Yeah.
the idea that you could be that prolific, not necessarily always hitting the same level of consistent quality, particularly Stephen King. I mean, he's done some fantastic stuff, but he's also written some shanners.
I would always there's
There's
an interview on YouTube where it's like it's in like 2 or 3 parts, and it's really worth watching. They're sort of following Stephen King around his hometown and all that. And at one point he's in his sort of writing room and he's talking about all the stuff he's written, and he says, you know, like, I never know if something's going to be good. He says, sometimes I get a really good feeling. He said, whereas this, and he picks up like an entire manuscript of like, it's like a completed novel, and he's like, whereas this is a heap of shit. And he just goes, so it's like he's not going to do anything.
That's the
with it.
car accident.
Vincent is asking any of us have read Joe Hill, which
That's
I
his
haven't
son,
yet.
right?
Yeah. Is Joe Hill the boy in Creep Show?
Yes.
Right.
Not really.
I'll teach you how to take my comic books.
Yeah. I haven't read any of Joe Hill, but I've heard he's good.
I've heard
His other son.
I think
written a
he
book
is
as
he
well,
not.
I think?
I may be wrong about this. I may have just picked up something completely wrong. But is he not appearing at like the Edinburgh Book Festival or something?
I have no idea.
I've got a feeling he might be.
Should we go and speak to him?
We should go and speak to him.
We haven't read anything you've written.
So Joe,
but we're
not
because
ready.
of your dad.
We're asking about your dad.
I know.
We don't give a fuck about your books.
Joe, how's your dad?
Sweep his books off the table
I know.
and then slap
Joe!
down some Stephen King books.
Can you
Talk about
Tell him
that.
to talk about these.
Can you sign that? Can you sign this book? But can you sign it as Stephen King? You've got to have a similar handwriting.
You'd probably get a lot of money for that.
I know.
Joe
Can
Hill,
I just say that handwriting is not remotely genetic? My dad is like is like an art form. His handwriting, whereas me, it looks like some
Art
kind
form.
of Neolithic scroll.
Aye.
That was a very Scottish
What was, the,
scrawl.
what,
I did my
the,
best.
what was the TV series where someone's like, it's a picture of Sean Connery signed by Roger Moore?
But I don't know. But that sounds good. Can I just say that I went to see An Afternoon with Roger Moore, and it's one of the most entertaining.
This was literally an afternoon with Roger Moore, right?
Yeah.
This was like in a theatre with Roger Moore
Yeah.
doing a.
Yeah, it's amazing.
talking to the
Like
audience.
basically, he does it.
He's still alive. It really is
I know.
amazing.
He is one.
Die, Roger!
What a fucking racket on tour, particularly for a man in his 80s. His recall is
What a
incredible.
fucking racket.
Yeah.
That man
What,
made.
what
No.
fucking rack he's got?
I know,
He's he's a very enjoyable man. But there was a couple of
He's
things.
enjoyable. He's an enjoyable
He's
man.
enjoyable.
But the
man.
beautiful thing about it is, right, he had like such an interesting spread of people in it, including a couple of old years up the front whose day he made by showing them attention. And he would go through and tell these kind of quite nice kind of like Middle England stories, and then later on started talking about how he's working in Jim Henson, and he was
He's working on Jim Henson.
He was working with Jim Henson, right,
Right.
with the Muppets, right, and he apparently on set made a joke about what Kermit's fingers smelled like. And you're just like, and he just drops this stuff into
Like
it, and you're
bacon.
like, this is an 80-odd-year-old man, yeah. And apparently it's like no one at the Jim Henson Productions found it particularly funny, but you're just like, this is amazing. He just drops it in, and he tried to like self kind of like moderate himself, right? And he said, you know, I made a joke about, you know, what Kermit the Frog's flippers smelt like or something like that, and then he didn't say anything. Everyone kind of laughed, and he went, you know, like bacon, and it was amazing. Just drops it in. You
Every
just,
time I look at the
I
chat,
can hear Callum in that.
I
One person
So
in the
good.
audience.
There was
roaring.
two guys behind us dressed in bow ties and full dinner suits,
yeah.
desperate to get his attention. But you know the best thing was, there was a couple of people that tried to like elevate themselves above everyone else. There was a couple of people that was like, yes, I bumped into you for lunch once in Monte Carlo.
I'm an
at the
actor too.
Yeah, well, no, there was none of that, but there was one guy that was like, yeah, we bumped into you once in Monte Carlo at the following place, and it's like, you said this and that, do you remember it? And then he was just like, I don't remember that, but I remember this, and he would start like telling some other
different
story,
story,
and
yeah.
just totally shut them down, and you're just like, well, fuck you for going up there. I mean, Monte Carlo is awesome.
How dare you go up and say to someone that you previously met, oh, hi, how you doing? Do you remember we met?
No, but
You're in great.
it's the way that they said it, though, in that kind of way of like, slightly higher social elite. It's just like, these people down here haven't been to Monte Carlo.
Callum was desperate to be in one of those dinner suits.
He was like, fuck, I've dressed wrong.
Oh, I know.
What were you wearing?
I was just. I
Were you
wasn't
wearing your
anything
Big Trouble in Little
particular.
China's
Yeah, I
t-shirt?
was wearing my
Kermit
tank top. I'm a truck waiting outside.
Bacon.
Sitting there going,
I was dressed as Miss Piggy, hoping for a repeat.
oh,
That's it.
jeez.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Carol, would you like a top up, Martin?
Would indeed, yeah.
Do you want a twist this time?
What, a twist of what?
A wee
Urinates
twist,
in
an
it.
extra twist.
Urinates in it.
Carry on.
What I was going to say, well, when I initially started talking about Alien Covenant, I was going to start talking about sequels, and I wondered if there was any sequels you thought were long overdue, or sequels, either specific ideas for sequels that you always wanted to see,
Banzai 2.
or yeah, or movies that you think deserve sequels that never got them.
Well, in recent years, I think Judge Dredd
Oh yeah, yeah.
deserved a second.
Oh, that's allegedly getting a
Film.
TV series.
Well, they talk about that, but
Carl Urban have got a lot of time
I know. Like I really liked Dread, and I felt more than that it was amazing. I thought it was very good. I didn't think it was an amazing movie. I just thought it was very good, and I thought they can really do something with this.
Yeah.
To give them a little bit more money.
I thought it was an amazing movie.
And operate on this. I really enjoyed it. But I'm just saying, like, if something's really amazing, it's like The Godfather. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not The Godfather.
I'd still probably rather watch Judge Dredd right now.
Godfather?
If you said we can either watch Judge
You're
Dredd,
nuts.
I can
You're
understand
mad.
that The Godfather.
Anytime The
Wait a minute.
Godfather's on
I
the
understand
telly,
that The
it gets
Godfather
put on.
is a better film, but if Michael pulled out 2 DVDs and said, "Do you want to watch The Godfather or do you want to watch Judge Dredd right now?" I'd be like, "Let's watch Judge
However,
Dredd."
if the Mandela effect was in place and said, "Do you want to watch Marlon Brando play Judge Dredd?"
Marlon Brando? Is that not what he's called? Oh, Mandela.
Oh, that's the Mandela
The
effect.
The Mandela effect was fucking hell.
Kicked in full there.
I'm having a complete
That
blank.
might take your face off, by the way, but
What's in it?
spice.
Oh fuck! Did you put that? You didn't put that Chinese rice
No,
wine
I
in
didn't.
this,
I
did
put a
you?
little bit of
I was
rocket
going to say
fuel in it.
Mandela effect was Dredd was played by Al Pacino.
What do you got?
I know we're coming back to this, right? But the
Hitchhiker.
Mandela effect. The other one aside from Nelson Mandela is the Bernstein Bears, right?
Yeah, but I never.
Have you guys
watched
watched that our Angry Video Game Nerd video? Is that what it is?
That's how I started, yeah, because but he took a lot of that stuff from like a list
Right, okay.
that they've got online and
Yeah,
all
so
the same stuff.
But what always strikes me about that, right, about the whole thing
Debunking.
about you know, like the Mandela effect and especially the Bernstein Bears, I was like, yeah, it was definitely Bernstein Bears. But then when you look back at it, so they had the thing being, people claim that the Bernstein Bears when they were a child was actually the Bernstein Bears. It was pronounced Bernstein. It was spelled Bernstein. They remember it very
Frankenstein.
clearly. Their parents will tell them, yes, it was the Bernstein Bears. But the thing is, if you look at the way it's written, right? If you look at the way Bernstein Bears is written, it's written in like cursive handwriting. Okay, when you're 5, could you read cursive handwriting?
Yes.
You could read joined up
Yes.
handwriting when you're 5. A lot of people couldn't.
From when I was.
But the other
months
thing
old.
is the other thing.
I don't actually know if I could.
The other thing is, when you read a word, do you actually think about this? Do you actually sit down and read the whole word letter for letter, or do you just kind of look at it, see the shape of the word, and go, "That says"?
Oh yeah,
you know.
There's loads of little psychological tests they can do to show you.
You can change. You don't read the whole word exactly, right? And people go, "Oh yeah, but my parents said it was."
Every time I look at the chat, I'm looking straight at your crotch.
That's all right. I'm trying to move it up so that you can see my.
Keep your pasta going.
What do you want to see? More the cross, more the chat?
Literally never met anyone who thinks Mandela.
Yeah, me neither. But
No,
on the internet, you can meet anyone.
but-
this is the other thing.
but
If
the-
you've got a huge
the-
population like the population of the internet, all the people that live on the internet, right? You're going to find a significant number of people who agree with whatever.
Sorry. Are
misguided
you
view
saying
you've
there's
got.
misdirected people on the internet? Mom? This is the first
I
I've
don't
heard
want
of
to. I
it.
don't want to blow anyone's mind here, but
Republicans.
Listen, I'm not saying it's a real thing. I'm saying that it's interesting.
it's interesting.
And I like it's like, do you know what? I love reading about conspiracy theories, even though most of them can be debunked almost immediately if you look at the right information. But
You haven't debunked my
It's-
Ridley Scott theory
it's-
yet, though, have
No,
you?
but because it's true.
but it's loads of fun reading these things and just thinking, what if? The problem is that people take sort of anomalous information as being factual.
Fake news.
The problem is that people trust their own judgment better than they trust external. Martin Yates' judgment, exactly.
Yates Tales.
But people try
Martin fake.
So the two options, that they made a mistake or that the universe has mysteriously been reordered. They choose that the universe has been mysteriously reordered. That's what kind of gets me about it. It's like people who are so confident.
And they would be correct.
They're so arrogantly confident in their own perceptions that they think the universe
sometimes
is wrong.
Though, is it arrogance or is it just the fact that some people have not been exposed to critical thinking when they were younger?
Well, I mean,
A lot of people do toe the party line with regards to what their parents tell them, though. Like, I mean, I know one classic example.
son, when you grow up, people are going to tell you it was the Bernstein Bears, but you listen to me. It was
No, but
always
you
the
see
Bernstein Bears.
you see some young people that when they were younger, you don't see this trend in them, and maybe their family think a certain way, but they reach this age of maturity where they start. No, but they
I'm
reach
laughing
this.
at something in the chat.
They reach a certain
Sorry.
age where they pick stuff up and they just run with it, and they set their whole lives around this philosophy. So if you start to chip away at it, they get really angry about it because they start to
become
feel
defensive.
everything. Yeah,
you're calling me crazy. It's not that you're being called crazy. It's that everyone's.
And I think this is happening a lot with a lot of these people that really threw in their lot with Trump, generally thinking that he was going to drain the swamp and be, anti-capitalist and all this kind of thing.
The swamp.
Yeah, where all of a sudden, he's just pulling everyone into the swamp. He's the swamp thing.
Not to pull us away from politics, but Creepypasta Goblin says, according to Wikipedia, Mandela died in the year Doogie is a homo. Can we check Wikipedia and see if that's actually what it says?
On my way. Can we also mention that Glasgow has a very special connection, the city in which we reside, with Nelson Mandela?
Nelson
Mandela.
Wait!
You're a walking Mandela effect.
In many ways, sometimes I speak faster. Well, actually, I think faster than I speak.
What is in this?
As a result of having ADHD and drinking.
I thought he was going to say AIDS.
He dipped his balls in it.
Right, Nelson Mandela.
Oh, he twisted, man.
Very strong balls.
I know.
No, this is not true.
No,
Yes,
he
yeah,
didn't die in the year
dude.
Doogie was a homo, did he?
Oh fuck! I've got a picture of Winnie. That was accidental. I'll save that one for later.
Let's see, Doogie. Come on.
Nah. He's fucking bringing us on.
No, you type DOUP.
No, I didn't.
Let's get. We need to establish.
Fuck off.
Get it back up.
Can we just say we're not endorsing homophobic sentiment?
No, but we've been told there's a homophobic comment on the.
And you find this.
That is a T, not a P. Fuck off.
Oh, is it right? Sorry.
Yeah. Can I also just say that you were making big fucking chats not that long ago about the fact that Peter Tobin was going to confess to being Bible John, and needless to say, yes, you were. I wasn't.
I've always said I'm not 100% sure.
No, you said that you thought he was really ill and he was going to die and he was going to confess.
No, I think he will. I probably within a year or so he's probably going to die.
Fight.
When he gets, but the thing is, somebody like Peter Tobin, these people are not going to know who Peter Tobin is. But someone like Peter Tobin,
Bible John, bad man.
They're not going to know who Bible John.
No, he's not necessarily.
Bible
he's
John
not necessarily
is someone
Bible. He probably is.
Murdered people a long time ago.
He was a serial killer.
No.
He was a serial killer, a famous Glasgow serial killer. Killed a number of women, all of whom were at the Barrowlands ballroom. All of whom were on their period. All of whom were found strangled in alleyways. And then there was a guy called Peter Tobin who murdered a woman just a few years. That all happened in the 70s. There was a guy called Peter Tobin who murdered a young woman called Angelina Clook in a church in Glasgow, strangled her to death, and put her in the basement of the church. It was later discovered that he had killed a number of women down in England. He'd fled to England following the Bible John killings of the 70s. So a lot of people have. This guy is definitely a serial killer, Peter Tobin. But they don't know.
Was in the 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah, 60s and 70s. Oh no, just
the 60s, wasn't it?
Ooh, no, I think it was the 70s.
There was I think he was arrested in '88. Hang on.
No, he
Bible
wasn't. He
John.
was never arrested. Bible John was never
No,
arrested.
Peter Tobin.
Peter Tobin was arrested in 2008 or something.
No, I'm just saying. I always thought that Bible John was earlier. I always thought it was the 60s or something.
Funnily enough, Peter Tobin is from the same town as my
Fact
dad.
check, Cal.
Really?
He's from Johnson.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if they're going
Did
to
your
come.
dad go to school with him or something?
Well, they're also like 15 years apart, so.
Getting a pact with them, though.
Yeah.
Team killers. Bible John was Frankie Boyle.
What would you like?
Blown the whole case off.
What would you like me to? See, to be honest,
When-
if it
when
turned
was
out that
Bible
Frankie Boyle was strangling some people, you wouldn't be surprised, would you?
No.
Who was the person the other day that we said? Oh,
I'm never.
Jim Sterling. As
Yeah.
much as I like Jim Sterling's reviews, if it came out that he'd done something.
Was there not a guy who was like a
With his
horror
goblins?
filmmaker on YouTube who wiped his family out or something? Just a couple of years ago, it was
Mr.
like a low
Anime?
budget.
Trey Sesler.
Was it?
Because he left. I had sort of spoken to him a couple of times on YouTube. And he left a
No, he
message
left comments on us.
on our old YouTube channel saying like great content guys or something like
And
that.
he just
we-
replied, "Do it,
Yeah.
do it."
And he
We were in the station for a long
he was
time.
drinking one night. His dad came into the garage where he was. He shot his dad, and then after he shot his dad, he decided, well, that's that done then. And he went in and he killed his mum and his was it one or two siblings?
Well, that's me
I can't
crack
remember.
my duck now. I might as
Then
well.
then he left to go. See you later, mum. Fucking tell my story.
Well, I'm listening to you, mate. I'm
It's a
listening.
wee- And I've just put my hand on Martin's sweaty.
Martin's war mania. Carry on.
Yeah, so Trey says they killed his family and then he was going to supposedly either attack like a baseball game or something like that, or a school, and they caught him before
he would have been higher up on our list had he made that, but he stopped at his family, so he's down low. He's real low.
But it was really...
Who's your favourite serial killer? Who's your favourite
I
serial
don't
killer?
have a favourite serial killer.
Right. Who's the one that is most interesting then? Who's the most interesting one?
The most interesting serial killer?
Wayne Gacy's a good one, isn't he?
Yeah. Not a good one.
He's a good one. He's a good one.
That's really
I'm not saying you do any murders, but I'm just saying that he's an entertaining one.
That's really, really unnerving.
Why?
Because you're like, who's your favourite serial killer? Oh, he was a belter, wasn't he?
He was great.
No. There are some serial killers that are so unusual, I think, that it's...
What was the Russian guy called? Chikatilo or something. He was dark.
Yeah.
I mean, not the some or like candy floss, but he was a very unpleasant individual.
Did he not bite off a boy's genitals and stuff like that?
He's in the same category.
I'm suggesting this man was not well balanced.
Jeffrey Dahmer's another one that's a pretty fucked up one.
The thing that really scares you about that one is the guy.
Peter Curtin's the worst.
The guy that got away from Jeffrey Dahmer and then went and ran down the street and actually spoke to two police. He got out there,
and then Jeffrey came back and said he's drunk.
And then he said, "This is." I'd love to have told that story, Callum, but Martin just jumped right in and
came
just
back
went,
right.
It's taking too long to get to the point.
No,
he'd only been on the story for a good 5 seconds.
He goes away in the middle of a story that I'm telling. Just gets up, tolerance levels reached, leaves, and then comes back in and goes, "You're telling it wrong, Michael." So who was the person you were talking about?
Peter Curtin was a German guy who used to slit people's throat, and
I don't know why I find the second name Curtin so fun,
because he used to kill people and go, "It's curtains for you."
It
was apparently when he heard the sound of people's blood hitting the floor, he would spontaneously ejaculate. Family friendly, people. Family friendly.
You have to admit, some of them are fascinating.
But part of me thinks, though, the fact that he claimed that he would spontaneously ejaculate, it was just cover. He just didn't want to admit that he touched himself. Like, what, you seen him some sort of pervert? Like,
but it's interesting though for how many of them though.
Or somebody like dropped a water balloon next to him.
Oh! but it's interesting that for so many of them, there must be some kind of, bridge missing in their brain where it's redirecting stuff and kind of extreme acts of sadomasochism links to a sexual for a lot of them seems to be like a sexual inadequacy.
A lot of these people are severely abused at a young age. There's actually like a pattern of behaviour as a child, which is it the unholy triptych or something. I can't remember the name of the.
Pink Floyd wrote a song about it. Leave those kids alone. Leave those kids alone.
No, it's like animal torture, bedwetting, bestiality. There's like a
bedwetting on its own is not necessarily a contributor. Right? If your child's wetting his bed, you don't have to lock them in all the time.
As a child.
That's it.
He's like, just in case anyone's wondering.
Got him.
I know. I think though that there are serial killers that are just so sort of unconventional that they are. The guy that really frightens me is the guy from Japan that people always kicked up.
He only killed one person, but
I know he was a serial killer,
he got
but
away with it.
He murdered this girl he was friends with.
Yeah.
And he ate her, and then he served his time, got out of jail, and then he was being invited to like colleges and universities in the West to do like a talk. He was doing talks about it.
He went back to Japan. He was like a minor celebrity. He was on talk shows and
because
stuff.
they decided that he would never do it again. It was like a one-off thing for him. So they were like, "Oh well, I'll never do it again."
Been there, done that.
But like I watched a documentary about it, and he was talking about how he's still got the urge and all that, and he's just like, he himself was saying, "Oh, it's really cruel that I can't get aroused unless I like want to eat someone." But some people have talked about that idea of when like someone talks to a child and they're like, "Oh, I could gobble you up," and that some people have said that inclination, which is that you just you want to just be near them, you want to hug them, that something goes wrong, or you're at the high end of the scale of that feeling, and what you actually want to do when you're at the high end of that scale is you want to consume the person. You want them to be part of you as close to you as possible, and apparently that's like what how that guy feels about things. But here's the thing as well, it's the same with pedophilia.
That's a big thing, like online, there's like whole communities of people who want to eat.
Yeah, but it's like there's people who are probably attracted to kids who don't molest, right? Yeah. And there's probably God knows how many people who have horrible fantasies and never act them out.
Yeah.
So it still doesn't excuse the act. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
the scary side of that is like, if only a certain percentage of these people actually carry out those acts, how many more people are in the population with those thoughts? That's what's scary. Like how are we could be surrounded by people like that all the time.
But I mean, sometimes though as well, the brain does pop things in occasionally that you're just like.
No. I have a very mild type of OCD.
I thought he was going to say paedophilia. I was like, I'm so glad he said OCD.
I've got a very mild type of OCD, and part of OCD involves intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
So sometimes, but that's the thing. There's a difference between an intrusive thought and a compulsion. So you can have an intrusive thought about something that's like weird. You think of something that's really bad happening, and you actually get really annoyed that thought jumped in your head. Yeah. You don't feel any compulsion to act on it, but that's part of OCD.
It's like being at like traffic lights or something. Something like, have you ever got that urge where you stand next to someone and it's like red? No, but it's like a red light and you're standing next to someone. You feel the urge. It's like, I'm just going to push them into traffic.
Yeah, but see, this is actually a good point because Gemma's my girlfriend's got a bit of
but you don't know where it comes from.
She talks about sometimes I get intrusive thoughts, right? But I kind of think, like, based on stuff she's said, like, I've often thought that people no I've often thought that people who like with severe OCD and stuff, she doesn't have severe OCD, but people who have OCD who complain of intrusive thoughts troubling them and stuff, it's almost that not that the intrusive thoughts are the problem, but the value to which they ascribe them. Because I have random thoughts like, imagine what happened if I pushed that guy in the street. Imagine I had a gun right now and I shot that guy, and it doesn't. But it's just like, it's a stupid thought. I give it any. But someone with like severe OCD goes, oh my god, I thought what would happen if I killed that guy?
But if it happens enough, though, there'll be some people that are worn down. Like, I get it all the time. I'm not gonna lie. I literally get stuff like, sometimes like you're sitting talking to someone, right, and I will literally get a thing with like you're sitting talking to someone and it's quite an intimate thing. It's just like the two of you maybe had a couple of drinks. Sometimes I'm just
Callum looks at me and
Creepypasta Goblin says, to what extent are we taking the sexiness of children into account?
Well, you know, Jesus. I'm not. Oh, right. Gary Mill said Sagwa was found legally sane but also evil.
Yeah,
he was found legally evil.
Was that Gary?
Aye, big Gaz.
Yeah, Gary Mill.
Gary, how you doing, mate?
How you doing?
Number one Refn fan. It's I get these thoughts all the time. And
not about children. Let's just
not about children. Fucking, you brought this back. I was completely. But sometimes you get like random violent thoughts. Yeah. I'm not a violent person, but
human beings are.
You get this thing coming in, and you're just like, you don't know where it comes from. And sometimes as well, like the more you drink, like, I'm not a violent person, but the more you drink, your barriers go down a bit, and sometimes you think, fuck, am I just randomly just gonna fucking?
But there's such a huge chasm between thinking about something,
reptilian brain, isn't it?
And wanting to do
it. If you feel like an urge to do something, and when I say, like, if I have an intrusive thought, it's like someone planting a thought in my head. It's not mine.
Yeah.
But part of, like, when you see OCD is that, like, people do worry, especially at the extreme end of OCD. Mm-hmm. It's debilitating because they can't let go of this thing where they're so worried that they're going to hurt people and things like that. So, but I think that what probably happens is that our brains churn up ideas and solutions to scenarios all the time, and our consciousness selects between.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Images. I quite often, if I'm in the supermarket pushing a trolley about, imagine that there's two chain guns mounted to the front of the trolley, and I'm just mowing people down as I walk about the supermarket. I don't think that's like, it doesn't bother me.
Is it partially as well though that we've created like these social constructs that really we're not meant to live in, and there's always that reptilian part of you that's like,
I want out.
Murder, kill.
Well, yes and no. I think though part of what makes us as human beings is that.
I mean, I've not got any psychological training, unlike you two.
Yeah, this probably to some extent you're right, but the thing is, part of what makes us human is that we are social animals, and therefore we control our violent impulse. Like it's the same for all animals. Like most animals that live in any kind of social environment together have some kind of social norms by which they ascribe, whether that be like even dogs or fucking whatever. Wolves that live in a pack.
Chimpanzees that got jobs in the zoo.
It's funny though when you think about it that way though. Do you think about, for example, psychopaths as just like data within a random distribution of behaviours?
Well, you can think about it on multiple levels at the same time.
And therefore, like, okay, well, this person is born this way because there are all these different combinations of outcomes and the type of person that you can have, and where you are along different spectrums of different types of behaviour. So there's someone who's like truly psychopathic. It doesn't mean you don't do anything about it to control that. The question of whether it's somebody's fault or not is kind act on it.
I mean, if they don't act on it, then it's not.
But
I had a friend. I've said this to you before. I had a friend who I thought a long time ago was like, they would talk about it and they would borderline like I don't want to say psychopathic, maybe sociopathic in some ways.
Same thing.
And like they it is technically the same thing, but people tend to use sociopathic in common conversation as if it's something that's not as bad like psychopathic behaviour. People think of that as
antisocial behaviour disorder.
Yeah, but like so, I like my friend would talk about certain things that was quite interesting to talk to him because it was like an alien. There's way of looking at life and looking at the way people were around you, and it wasn't like it wasn't an urge to hurt anyone or do anything like that, but there was just a very specific way of.
What did he
looking
describe?
At things. Like I can't get into the details of it because I don't want to give away who it is.
Is there any way you could
it's not someone who I'm friends with now.
Is it something you could abstract from?
Well,
like just describe some of the things that they said, like without giving their name away and their address.
They told me this story about like wanting to like. One day they were on a bus, and if this person is watching, they'll notice them, but it's not giving away who they are. And so there was a girl sitting, and her phone was hanging out of her pocket. And he walked by, and he'd never stolen anything before. And he just went, "I'm taking it." So he took it, walked off the bus, and then threw it in a bin. And then he said, "I just wanted to know how that would feel. Like, would I feel guilty about it?" And I was like, "Did you?" And he's like, "Nah, but I knew I should." You know, and like it was dark stuff. It was dark stuff. But the flip side of that is that he became a well-rounded person because he had these weird impulses, but he managed to somehow navigate them and realise. And it was nothing like, as far as I'm aware, it was never like a terrible impulse to do something really, really bad. That was the worst thing he ever did.
He's not going to tell you, but
no. Well, I don't know. Like at the time, we were pretty close, and he was talking.
Yeah, but if he told you that like he like cut the head off the dog and shagged the stump, you'd be pretty horrified, right?
Yeah.
So he wouldn't tell you that.
Though there was another time. It was like with a different friend where we used to slag him all the time about it because we came in. We found in his house and he had newspaper clippings and it was of cannibals.
Fuck's sake!
Right?
Holy shit!
And we used to enjoy a smoke with this gentleman, and
Tobacco.
obviously sometimes that can make you a little bit paranoid. Yeah, tobacco makes you really paranoid, right? And when that was going on, like we found this stuff and two of us were friends, and like the other guy was a friend as well.
Did you stumble upon it, or
he
didn't show it to you?
Was he having you over for
conversation? Then conversation. We started having conversation, and we found this stuff and didn't tell him that we found it.
Right.
And then my other friend was kind of like, "Let's probe."
And the cannibalism.
So started talking to me, and eventually got him to confess. He started telling us, he's like, if I was walking down the street, and there was a restaurant, and outside it said human meat, I'd go in and have some.
Who was this?
Right, I'm not telling you.
Do we know this guy?
No, you don't know. No.
You would say that though, right?
No, I swear you don't know this person, right?
See when I was.
This isn't someone that. Is
there more to this story?
Ghastly Tales used to have more members.
But he just seemed to go through this little time when he was like fascinated by cannibals, and we were like,
but like,
why?
Like he
why
wasn't fascinated by cannibals. He wanted to commit cannibalism, but
he said that he was fascinated by someone going to those lengths but he did say he was like.
If there was a thing that
He
said
did
you
say
would meet, he would go
he
and
did
eat
say
it.
he was a chef, so he was like, he's like, I am really interested in what it would taste like, and I was like, but morally, you couldn't go and eat meat that's came from a person,
Meat.
you know, and he was just like, well, if it's on the menu. You know, and I'm like, no, I was like, that you can't, you know, and he was just like adamant there was nothing wrong with it, and he was like, no, I could do
There
it.
is a product.
It's funny
There is a
though-
product called Hufu or Hufu. That's like tofu flavored to taste exactly the same as human flesh. They've actually spoken to people who've been like stranded in life crafts and stuff.
Tofu.
You
that have
can't
had to
make,
eat
they
it,
can't make
and they've
tofu
made it.
taste like beef.
Tofu's bullshit,
So at the
man.
end of the day, they
Tofu
can't
on
make
its
it
own,
taste
right?
like human.
Tofu is tofu, fine, right? But when they're like chicken tofu, beef tofu, you're like, no.
Have you tried
No.
seitan?
Leave
Not
leave,
Satan.
leave
Seitan.
tofu.
Have you tried
It's its
seitan?
own thing. No.
It tears like flesh. It's amazing.
I think I might have had that like a long time
Right.
ago. It's,
But this is the
you
thing,
can
right?
actually make it, I think.
You can. It's
Yeah,
basically
it's that
gluten.
floury type
At
thing.
the risk of
Okay.
excluding people, I don't think we've got any devout Christians here, right, or flat earthers, right? But at the risk of saying, yeah, we've got Gary
Mickey,
here, right?
Mickey
Gary,
the cat. Mickey the cat does.
yeah,
Oh
no.
no, sorry, Vincent Vinicava does
but
actually ask if the world is flat.
I think
so.
empathy can change from culture to culture. Currently living in China, and they all laugh at
Hey, I
horror
don't
movies
have
and
that.
disaster. But it's a bit like horrible Japanese game shows you see sometimes.
Chimney.
Yeah, it's a thing that I just make up.
He's done you.
There's live chat. I need to click on that down there.
Oh, there.
Right.
No, it's still. Last thing is how sexy do we find children?
And we've gone over that, right? But this is the thing, right? See, if you
Now, when I said it was family friendly,
at the risk of not excluding anyone, right? If you subscribe to the idea that we evolved from apes and chimps, right? Which we did, right? There's a law, and
We didn't evolve from chimps. We evolved from a common ancestor of chimps.
we evolved from apes. There's some simian
We are
ancestry.
apes.
have simian
We are
ancestry.
apes.
We have simian ancestry. Will you agree to that?
Yes, we
Right.
are apes.
Fine. Stop being
We didn't
pedantic.
evolve from chimps.
Stop being
Some-
pedantic.
Because
Fucking hell. Christ.
it's
Like, I feel like-
Christians can
I
go
feel
around
like-
spinning.
I feel like I'm standing on a room of carpets and Mark's constantly pulling at them. Just want to try and bring stuff up. Anyway, they indulge in cannibalism. It's been well documented that chimpanzees indulge in cannibalism. Right? So that's something that's there. So if we have evolved from them, obviously we've gone through multiple stages, Cro-Magnon man and all that stuff, right? Not the Charlton Heston one.
But again,
That's
we didn't
Amiga
evolve
man.
from chimps. We share. We're like chimps' cousins. We share a common ancestor.
Yes, but
right.
we have
If
a
you had a
very,
cousin
very
who was a
same.
cannibal, you'd be like,
We
well,
have a very
it's good,
same
yeah, it's
genetic
good.
makeup, right? There's like 98%
I
of the
mean,
same
chimps
DNA.
wear makeup.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
In shows
given, yes,
that are
but-
very entertaining, sometimes offensive,
I know.
but
You've seen
very
the PG
entertaining.
tips advert.
Right? Yes. But this is what I'm saying is like those thoughts and those primal urges are still there deep within us, and I think some people just don't have the filter
I
to.
think that's absolutely right, and I think some people talk about how you require religion to give you like a moral compass, and I think that you can absolutely use evolution or natural selection in the same way.
Yeah, this
So
is what- yeah.
if you like take something like adultery for example, if you are attracted to someone physically. If you believe in natural selection and you believe in biology and you believe, then you can dismiss that urge as that's you just attracted. That's the part of your system that wants to procreate.
Well,
You know?
let's be honest. Einstein, probably one of our most well-known and established thinkers, wasn't a
was a
monogamist.
dirty shagger.
He was into everything.
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
loved it. He loved it. Einstein was into everything. He had a very committed relationship to his wife, and he loved her dearly. But the rest of the time, he was fucking left, right, and centre. He was getting these oats from every single
Oh,
food.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Einstein.
Rolling dice.
Einstein was loving it. Overactive brain, but that's the
I
thing.
love grabbing that.
And there's
hair.
just some people that just can't conform to that more modern thing, and you wonder and that's the thing where it's just like, in no way am I saying that we should be letting serial killers off, but is there a particular psychological
No,
profile, right,
see-
where people should be held in a different regard. When that rational element isn't there for them and they think it's okay for them to do that, should they be treated as normal human beings?
We can't separate off and say that like the urge to kill or the urge to commit cannibalism.
You can just do what America does, just kill them.
I know, but you can't separate that off and say that that's something that that's a problem with evolution. They haven't evolved
Why
in the
not,
human
Mom?
state, right? Because the other side of it are empathy, are social bonds, like the fact that we're a social
That
species
we've created.
is also
That we've created.
yeah, but that's also something that's been produced by evolution. We've evolved to be a social animal, and from that evolution into becoming a social animal, we've created these social structures. That's as much a product of evolution.
But
as cannibalism.
Can I diverge for a second?
Yeah.
There's a guy. Remember I told you a long time ago.
You're back. This is almost dead, by the way. Just so you know.
Remember I told you a long time ago there was a guy that contacted me called Michael Whitehouse.
Okay.
And
No, I
he's like,
don't believe it.
Hey, my name's Michael Whitehouse. So's yours. Let's be friends, right? Well, actually, he's on my Twitter feed, and like sometimes we send each other messages now. But like I joked with him about like getting all the Michael Whitehouses together into some sort of
I know,
army.
he's
And
created
he
a
says
White
he knows
Fest.
5.
Is this what he does? Does he
So
just
I'm
contact
wondering
Michael Whitehouses online?
if this is what he does.
I have no less than 2 Cal McPhails that have added me just
Because
on the
you-
pretense that I'm
But it's
Cal
an
McPhail.
unusual name though, I think that's...
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that they get
It's
to
not
be my
an-
friend.
That's not an unusual. Callum
McPhail.
McPhail's not-
Callum
McPhail.
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 Spelled that particular way with a
Is it
C
particularly-
CALUM is the Scottish spelling,
I would normally spell
and
it two L's.
McPhail. Macphail is less
Scottish
common than
But it's not
McPhail.
that uncommon. I mean,
I was
it's
gonna
quite
say,
as common as
I
Michael
would spell
Whitehouse.
it with two.
There's only one guy that's more popular than me in Google search. It's some little boy that plays the accordion, and he's good. He's good, but he's not better than me.
You would be that.
Yeah.
Can we get it up?
No, we can't because
There's
I don't
some
want to
sort
give him more
There's
publicity.
some sort of IT
This is
specialist
my
that comes up when you search for me, but look, I'm above him now. And
There's a
I
couple of
always
Martin
think
Yates.
of him like
There's
raging.
There's a couple of
raging
Martin
because
Yates.
I'm-
One of them is a conductor.
Is
So
it,
like
is it a farting face?
no, they've checked. There isn't a fart and pates. There's a conductor, and there's also a really. I'm not going to say terrible because he might Google this and watch it, but there is a guy who aspires to be a pop star.
Have you ever met any
Pop singer,
conductors?
really.
In my lifetime, I've known and worked with 3 conductors, and
Were they all bus
Bus
or were they
conductors?
bus or
No.
orchestra?
operatic.
Yeah,
Orchestra.
Symphonic.
Orchestral.
Yes. I've known a number of them over time, and I've always known them to be very full of themselves and overly pretentious. Now, they do have a grasp of music,
His
but-
brush is like fucking.
but the thing is, would you hold a conductor? And I know people would say, well, a
The
conductor
whole
has.
conductor.
I have.
Come.
Many
It's
people
okay.
would say that a conductor has to hold an entire ensemble together.
Yeah.
However, would you hold them in the same regard as an accomplished cellist?
But the thing is that the
But a lot of them
But
like
the
think they're fucking rock
I know, but the
stars.
thing is that the conductor arranges the music.
It's the composer.
No, but
The
the
conductor just goes
But it's
like
the
that
way they do it.
and takes all the
right,
credit.
It's difficult,
money-
but some of
money
them,
comes
some of them
flying in
definitely
off the
seem to get
the conductor is
conversation.
involved intimately with how
conductors,
everyone-
serial killers. It's
with
a
how-
very
with
balanced.
how the pieces are played. The conductor's involved and all that. Conductor doesn't just turn up and go right and just keep tempo. That's not what a conductor does.
No.
But that's part of their job.
But a lot
But
of
a
them are very
conductor-
pretentious for what they are.
You also need
But
to make sure
but they
people are
do-
not getting on
but
the
they
bus
do-
with a
no, but my-
ticket.
No, but my point is,
That's part-time.
Kick off the guys.
what I'm
that
saying is
smoking.
Martin's wrong. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That the conductor's involved.
Martin's is
when
right.
it comes to
Anyway, back to Peter Tobin.
aye.
Is Peter Tobin Bible John? So you're the defence, you're the prosecution.
I think there's about a 60% chance he's Bible John.
Would
He's
stand up.
backpedaled. He's gonna come out. He's gonna say he strangled those women, and then he's like, yeah, well, you know.
Why do you think? What's your
I'm gonna go
Why
to
do I
the
think he is
toilet.
or
but-
isn't?
What?
Which side are you? Which side you asked me to talk for? Is or isn't? Because I'm on the fence.
You're not on the fence.
He thinks
If
Bible
you're
John's alright.
Listen, if you're 60%, right,
Uh-huh.
then you're not sitting on the fence.
Yeah.
One of your feet is off and on the ground.
I think he probably is because
Right, so
Peter
why?
Tobin killed women when they were on their period, right?
Right.
Peter Tobin lived in Glasgow at that time, was involved in crime in Glasgow at that time. At the time he disappeared from Glasgow,
How would you
Bible
know?
John murders stopped.
How would they know?
What do you mean?
Like, would they?
How would who know what?
Would they be intimate with a woman, and then if they found out
This
she's
is
on
an
a period,
interesting thing.
then
I don't know. Maybe
that's what made them enraged.
Maybe he was. Yeah, maybe he used to. I mean, it's possible he was a rapist.
Some
or
serial
something,
killers
and then,
murder women because they think they're disgusting.
Yes, well, that's almost certainly the case with him. But maybe, I don't mean to be gross, but maybe in some way he could smell it. Maybe there was some,
So what you're saying is it's like an episode of the X-Files.
Maybe,
This guy could actually sniff.
Yeah, I don't remember that episode of X-Files.
Walk into the Barrowlands,
she's on the blob.
Somebody's playing I saw her standing there in the background and I can smell
Maybe he went through their bags and found sanitary products or something. Maybe, I don't know the details.
How
but
would they know? That's really interesting.
It is interesting. It's an interesting thing.
But then maybe there's loads of women that got away because they weren't.
Exactly. But the kind of
He's
modus
right anyway.
operandi.
He loves Bible John.
Love is a strong word, but it's an interesting
60%. He was fucking 90
60.
last time we spoke about it. He's going down. Peter Tobin's going in the bin. You said 60%.
And I'm 86% certain he's a good guy.
That's it, I know. Those women had it coming.
No, I mean, what's interesting is that in one of the Bible John murders, there was 4 people in a taxi at the end of the night. One of them was another guy called. There was 2 guys called John. One guy who quoted from the Bible.
One of the guys' first name was Bible.
And there was 2 women, right? So the woman that was murdered left with the guy that was quoting from the Bible. Left the taxi, right? And the other guy who was in the taxi was from, I forget where he was from. Was he from Springburn or somewhere like that? But he was also called John, and those 2 men seemed to know each other, which is an interesting point. So the guy who's strongly suspected of being Bible John, or being that serial killer, seemed to know this other guy. No one's ever been able to work at Castle Milk. That's where he was from. Nobody's been able to work out with this Castle Milk John, who he was.
I've never heard anyone pronounce it as Castle Milk.
Castle Milk, sorry.
Castle Milk.
I've usually hear it referred to as the milk.
Castle Milk.
Castle Milk.
Chateau de Milk.
Chateau Olé. Chateau Olé. Castle Milk. Not beaucoup.
Bible John was the 60s, but it was it? Yeah, but it was
late
like
60s.
borderline. It was 68.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, I'm sure it was around about the same time that Mum and Dad were like going at. Shut up.
I have to laugh. Did you see just to share this with everyone, did you see Facebook the other day when we announced that we were having this live stream? And this is not a time that we would ordinarily have a live stream at.
No.
Normally it's a bit later. We tried earlier just to see, because we've got an interesting mix of people from across the world, so it's difficult trying to find the time for everyone. But Facebook the other day was like, normally it's like, if you boost the post, you'll maybe do it for a few pounds or something, see what you get. Facebook the other day was just like, people that have boosted this similar post before have spent £60, and we're like, no, we're good.
Like, we run at a loss as it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to have to boost every post. It's really bullshit though, the way Facebook does it. Is basically they give you all the tools to think that you can build an audience, and then they just nerf it.
They definitely reduce the number of people.
Sometimes you'll put a post up and it'll get seen, and then other times it won't. And if you want to make sure that it gets seen, you have to pay.
Well, that one post you put up, what did you put on that? Like, did you put like £20 on a post once or something?
Yeah,
but the thing is, like, 90% of the interaction was probably people that were paid to do it.
Yeah,
it's definitely. Not. And the thing is, it's not just us either. It's like there's Facebook pages and other communities that they've got like hundreds of thousands of likes on the page, and they get like 20 likes on a post. Because
I don't think Facebook is our strongest sort of.
We'd have to make stuff specifically for Facebook.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Like that time, like
see if we post a narration, for example, to Facebook, we get maybe like 4 or 5 clicks from Facebook.
Yeah. I think Facebook is engineering itself to become a new social media video platform. It's been pushing itself forward on the video front. I've actually worked on a few jobs recently. I'm not going to divulge clients, but I've worked on a few jobs recently where they've been live streaming purely on Facebook, and a lot of tools are there now to allow people to do quite high quality live streams. And I get the feeling that Facebook, the only difference between Facebook and YouTube just now is that people can't monetize their stuff. But actually, if you look at it, knock on knock, the difference between Facebook and YouTube is actually, and YouTube, let's just mean it up, right? YouTube has a big number of people on it, and you can get a lot of views. But actually, see if you look at the raw statistics, Facebook is getting more viewers per video than it would if it was on. So if they find a way to monetize that, Facebook has both the money and the infrastructure.
There's advertising, maybe not in live stream, but there's advertisement options on videos.
No,
videos on Facebook. I'm sure there is.
They need to look into that. But if they found a way to monetize it to the same level as YouTube, I can quite easily see Facebook take it.
Let's leave Callum on his own for a laugh.
Nice guys.
He's away.
But the thing is,
bursting on a piss and he's just just dance about in the back. Like.
Facebook has that size and scale where they can just pour money into it forever.
Yeah. With
no,
But YouTube has a massive back catalogue of videos, which Facebook doesn't have.
It's difficult. Well, I think the problem is Facebook is falling into this trap of having to, bend to the advertisers, and the advertisers have got into this unique position now where they can kind of come out, and there's a lot of discussion as to whether or not the advertisers are basically now doing it as part of a thing of going like, if we hold to this, they'll have to give us stuff at reduced rates. Because this is the unique thing about Google as well. They've always operated YouTube at a loss. Because for every PewDiePie that's out there that's making them money, there's millions of people, particularly us. I mean, we monetize a very small amount of our content, and even the stuff we do doesn't get things. But I personally, on some private channels that I've done for work and stuff, I've uploaded gigabytes and gigabytes of content that will never be monetized. Yeah, and that's a lot of the thing. There's so much money being spent by them in upkeep that they'll never ever get back. Yeah,
it's just storage of your videos and stuff.
A lot of people have been switching to, well, not switching, but a lot of people have been trying VidMe and stuff, which is like a subscription-based thing, but the viewership is much lower. But personally, I don't know. I mean, you can actually, not to say that anyone needs to do it, but you can actually donate money finally through live streams on YouTube.
Oh, can you?
You could do it for a while in America, but now they finally brought it to here. But I mean, Twitch is kind of the king of live streams, really, and Twitch have realised that that YouTube have had failings in it, and now they've started to let people. I think they started initially adding an art category to Twitch where you could do like paintings and stuff. Yeah. But now it's kind of like gone past the Bob Rossian era, and people are just like chatting on it, and they've brought stuff across. So they're getting a lot of people migrating across because the tip amount is massive. You can get ads on it, but it's the tips that are making people the big money.
Callum. Yes. What horror sequel would you like to see? Or prequel? Either one that's been announced and never made, or a movie you think is due a sequel.
Well, I always kind of was hoping for a sequel to Army of Darkness.
Can I have a?
We've kind of had that though, haven't we? In the form of a TV
do
show.
What you want. Yeah, no. But Ash versus the Evil Dead is something that started out, and I had quite high hopes for it, but they fucked up the second season. And the reason, who's the producer for the original Evil Dead?
Bob Tapper.
Bob Tapper. It's him. I'm pretty sure that's fucked over. Right? They tried to make the second series a departure. And he brought it back in line. And if you haven't seen the second series, the ending of the second series is fucking rubbish.
Really?
Right? Sam Raimi and the rest of them were trying to take it on a departure. And they've just brought it back, and they brought in all this fucking nonsense, and it doesn't make any sense. And the end of the second series is terrible.
Really? There's going to be a third series, though, right?
Any of the series?
I've not watched the
second series. The first series starts off very, very good.
Can I just say, one of my favourite things about coming here, other than seeing your good selves, is the salted peanut crunch hand wash in the bathroom.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? That pineapple, you mean?
Pineapple, sorry, that.
Peanut. Salted peanut crunch. It's pineapple. Yeah. It's very, very good.
Smells
very, very good.
It's delightful.
But yeah, this is the thing. Anything that keeps Bruce Campbell in employment fine.
You're never going to see like a straight Army of Darkness sequel now that
No,
they've had
of
the
course.
TV show,
No.
so that's out the window. What I've always thought would be good to see, and actually think is now...
Castle Freak 2.
No, but you're not that far off. You're actually not that far off.
Reanimator, another...
Hold on, right. So, it's probably about as topical now as it was. You just splashed
Are they new,
my knee.
are they new shoes, Martin?
No, I've had these a while.
These don't seem like you, these shoes.
No, I think so.
Can you just describe to us briefly? Show up to camera. What's the stories with these shoes? Because these aren't you, Martin.
They're just ever so slightly velvety.
I like them though, but what this doesn't feel like you, Martin. You're a boots man.
I've not worn boots in a long time.
Oh,
This
I don't
is
know
like-
about this.
I've not worn
boots for
Are
a
you
long
walking
time.
up
This is like-
Munros and them?
This is
I don't have one pair of shoes. No, I was going to say...
He's a complex man. He goes to a hair salon.
Martin's Bible John. Imagine
House
just
of
strangling us both.
House of Reanimator,
Right.
where Jeffrey Combs or Herbert West.
Can we just see
is-
Reanimator 3 is shit?
It's not as good as the first two, but it still at least has some of the vibe of the first two.
Remind me, Reanimator 2 is kind of like Frankenhooker, but
A little bit,
Reanimator isn't
yes,
it?
yeah.
Good old Jeffrey Combs, though. Always get time for him.
So House of Reanimator, the idea being that Herbert West Reanimator is brought in to reanimate the president after he dies soon after an election.
Was this a script?
This was the script, but it was originally written during the Bush era. And then when Obama came in, it didn't really fit the vibe of the times anymore. But I think if they brought back House of Reanimator now,
with a zombie Trump.
Zombie Trump,
You should
Take
get
it
that
off,
jumper
Mike.
off. You
take
can't
it
be that
off,
cold.
take it off,
No,
take it
I'm cold.
off,
No,
take it
I'm cold.
off.
I'll take it off.
I think there's nothing more topical than a zombie Donald Trump dropping body parts all over the green room of the White House. I think that'd be amazing to see, especially if it was directed by.
I mean,
Robert Godley.
mentally, you're not going to notice a great deal of difference.
I'm walking off because I'm a big Trump fan.
That was his knee. Did you hear that?
Click. Martin's
He's
dying.
been reanimated by the sounds of it.
Fucking right.
Not very well. What did I miss? Evil Dead.
Martin said Peter Tobin wasn't the
Was brilliant.
Bible John. Yeah, he was Bible John.
But
not much else.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. You need to watch Get Out. I know I've been saying this, but you need to watch it. Do you know what? It's actually refreshing to watch a horror film recently. You're like, that is one of the ones that will go down as one that people continually want to watch. And I feel that with horror movies,
the last couple of years, there's been a
it
few
follows
good ones.
Animus Fight. Should we show my birthday present off? I think we should.
Yes.
That's cool. I'll
Go
go and
for
get
it.
it.
This is a little present that I got Callum for his birthday. It's a dress. He likes to dress. There we go. Looking good. Body bags, everyone. This is a really unknown John Carpenter film that he made in the mid-90s, I think. And it's a horror anthology film where he directed and it's a laser disc. He directed two of the stories, and I think Tobe Hooper directed the third, if I'm right, I think. And also John Carpenter plays the sort of host of the film in the mortuary. It's good fun though.
What was the name of the thing where he came back and did Masters of Horror? He came back and did Cigarette Burns.
He did Cigarette Burns and he did Pro Life, which was the other one he did as well. And he said he thoroughly enjoyed that, but he came back and did The Ward, and it was just like.
I love John Carpenter, but he's spent, isn't he?
He just doesn't have the passion for it anymore. I think that's just what it is. See, when I've got this book which is phenomenal. It's
Is that
There was a-
minor challenge?
I don't know it.
That one's mine.
There was a photographer who was hired to take loads of production stills.
I've got this
For-
book. It's a good book.
Yeah, for like early John Carpenter films. It's like Halloween 2, which John Carpenter didn't direct. Well, he directed maybe a couple of scenes in it, but that's not the point. Halloween 2. It's got Christine in it. It's got Escape from New York. It's got The Fog, and it's really entertaining. It's a fantastic book. I thoroughly recommend it. And it's got loads of behind the scenes photography.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
things like that.
it is excellent.
But when you read that
What's her
book,
name again?
that's terrible. I can't remember. But when you read that book, you're just blown away by this feeling that he was so enthusiastic for what he was doing, and that seemed
It's all
to
Cody
disappear.
now. It's all Cody.
So Cody Carpenter now.
Cody Carpenter.
Once I think Ghosts of Mars ruined them. I think Ghosts of Mars was the film, but if you actually look at,
Ghosts of Mars ruined us all.
Ghost of Mars was the turd that broke the camel's back.
He's the only one that fucking defends
the
it.
film that ruined it was The Invisible Man.
Escape from
I
LA.
think so.
Yeah, because
Escape from LA.
because if you look at it right, John Carpenter, I mean, the film he made before that, I think was Prince of Darkness or The 11. I think it was Prince of Darkness. Or
Did he do Invisible Man with Chevy Chase?
Yeah, right. But he made that film, and
Racist.
apparently Chevy Chase was a complete dick. No surprise.
Oh, wow!
And essentially didn't let John Carpenter make the film that he wanted to make, and it was like the only time he'd had that experience. And he'd been away from filmmaking, I think, for like 4 years, and then he came back, and that was the film that I think started putting him off making movies.
And he made Village of the
Damned
Damned.
with Chris Reeves. It's just
such a flat
nothing
of a film.
I think Vampires is...
It's a shame because it's one of Christopher Lee's last... Christopher Lee.
Oh!
Christopher Reeves.
Christopher Reeves, yeah, that's right, I know.
Last kind of like standing up performance.
And I think if you see standing up performance...
Stand up.
He's a stand-up guy. I know Vampires has a lot of fans.
It's alright,
I think the opening is great.
Yeah.
And then after that, the problem with Vampires, the major
after that,
problem
I remember
to me,
Chevy Chase went, oh.
with Vampires and Ghosts of Mars have similar problems. And although I actually like Ghosts of Mars, I think it's a guilty pleasure that I enjoy. I think it's schlocky and it's good fun. But the difference between Ghosts of Mars and Vampires is that the similarity is that Vampires and Ghosts of Mars both have terrible villains. The ghosts aren't frightening. They look like something out of Charmed.
Yeah.
Or something like that, like a TV production. And that's
Sort
one
of
of the big problems.
tribal looking.
Yeah, and the vampire,
very kind of 90s looking in a weird sort of way.
The vampires are really tame. And
What's the
like,
Catherine Bigelow one? Is it After Dark or Near Dark?
Near Dark.
Near Dark. That's better than Vampires.
It's a great film.
Oh God, I knew that.
But the thing with Vampires was the time it came out and the vibe that it has. It feels like a cash in on From Dusk Till Dawn, which it wasn't. But it has that feel, and it fails. If you compare the two, yes, it is. But if you compare the two, Vampires is not as good as From Dusk Till Dawn.
No.
And that's the problem. It suffers a little bit from the Deep Impact Armageddon thing.
Yeah.
The two films coming along about the same time, one of them being a bit more popular than the other, and having a very similar concept. That kind of deep south vampire thing.
I certainly get the feeling that by the time because if you look at Ghosts of Mars as well,
Do we have?
if you go Ghosts of Mars as well, like by that point John Carpenter he'd stopped doing the music as well.
Yeah.
And
Cody.
It really felt that like Ghosts of Mars was the film where he was just like, right, okay, sack this. There was stuff that happened on Ghosts of Mars as well where he Jason Statham was cast in the lead as Desolation Williams, I think his name is.
And
the funders of the film forced them to put Ice Cube in, and Jason Statham was then put in it like a second.
I always find it amazing how far Ice Cube got as an actor.
But also
he's done alright. He's done alright.
Deep Blue Sea as well. No,
I love the NWA, but he's done pretty well.
But so I think that happened, and I think that altered a lot of what he wanted to do. I think he wanted to make like a sort of sci-fi exploitation movie.
Yeah.
And it is kind of that to a degree. And
it doesn't feel a little bit of like
it's his early script.
It's
his early script, I think. Or it was based on. I'm sure I read that it was based on an idea he had like way before he actually started his filmmaking career. So something he had when he was a kid, which is maybe why it's not very developed. But I think that the problem for me as well is that I don't know if he had like people like Dean Koonday and things like that early on, who he had other people around him who were amazing, and
he lost that crowd. It's the same with people like Lucio Fulci. Like if you look at Fulci's films in the late 70s, early 80s, they're really kind of, although they're very low budget, there's a vibe to them, there's a real feel to it. And Dario Argento and all these guys, they have like a golden era of films where they get the credit for it, but it's really the fact they're part of a team that works together and works really well. Kind of like Ghastly Tales.
Yeah,
kind of like Ghastly Tales. But then the team breaks up and they end up on their own, and they're still carrying that flag of being Dario Argento or Lucio Fulci or John Carpenter or
but
George
it's
Romero.
funny though.
It's
funny how
case in
though
point.
you become
And then
influential.
they're still carrying that flag of being that
Yeah.
guy, but they've lost the kind of team that made those films, like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and then George Romero's films kind of took a bit of a plunge after that because he was working with different people, and it's the same with John Carpenter.
But it's funny how you become a pioneer to a point though, because there's actually a lot of people that argue that Roger Corman and Pit and the Pendulum was the inspiration for a lot of Italian cinema.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
like
and that's
Mario Bava. And
Yeah,
all that
and that's the thing. But after a certain point, Roger Corman, it was just junk.
yeah.
Fantastic Four.
But that was he was a producer by that point. But
He was fucked,
but I totally get your point. I think some people do lose the passion for it, but I think you're totally right. It's like Woody Allen says about like when he casts actors, he doesn't direct them. He's just kind of like, right,
Actors,
children.
children.
You can't. For fuck's sake. You
Casts.
You get
Actors.
You get the right people,
Casts.
You get the right
Actors.
people in the role, and then you're good to go. And that's like so. And I think that I would imagine that's true in terms of like crew as well.
Yeah.
I really used to love Roman Polanski, but he's pretty hard to defend.
When you read about it, you realize because I didn't.
Rosemary's Baby is a brilliant film, but
Listen, he's
in
good.
Chinatown,
Do you know who else?
Do
you know who else is a dirty bastard? The guy that directed
Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
Proper
He's
dirty
really,
pedo bastard.
and it was before he made Jeepers Creepers. as
Yeah,
well.
and
He
they
went to
still
jail.
fucking funded Jeepers Creepers after that.
Do you know who I
He
think
had
is going to
sex
come
with
out
a
one day?
12-year-old boy, molested a 12-year-old boy on camera on a
Yeah,
film
he
set.
filmed it for his own fucking.
That's more horrifying than the
And
film.
he went to jail, came out, and then he got. And it's like you think someone like that is working because he's making Jeepers Creepers 3 right now. Someone like that is working.
No,
in
Jeepers Creepers 3's out. I'm sure. Is there not another one? Is not already made 3 Jeepers Creepers?
I think so. Maybe I don't know, but you look at that, and then someone like Jeffrey Jones, who I think got caught with pictures boys. I don't know the details.
Jeepers Creepers 3 isn't out yet, but it's supposed to be coming out this year.
But like
With Ray Wise.
I know that upset me when I found out about Jeffrey Jones. Because he was just like an ever present in films like growing up. He was the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's the dad in Beetlejuice.
Is he a pervert as well?
He get found. I may be wrong about this. I'm not
Do you want me to check?
No, he definitely get done with like possessing. It technically was child porn, but I think he argued. No,
technically.
I think it was one of these ones where he argued that it was like artistic pictures or something like that. But
Was that not the same?
He's never
What's
worked
his
again.
face from In the Thick of It?
He was in all of Tim Burton's movies. Like he was just used constantly.
What's his name?
Yeah.
The one that played, was it not Hugh Abbott from In the Thick of It?
Yeah.
But he'd been abused as a child, and he claimed that he was
claimed it was for a role.
he was claimed that it was research for a role that he was taking on all the things. But I guess that harkens back to the thing of like
that was really sad because like
he was a brilliant character.
He did like an online, he did like an on television interview with Billy Connolly's wife, who's like a psychologist.
Yeah, yeah.
And they talked about the fact that he had
Pamela Stevenson.
Yeah, that he had been caught looking at child pornography, and his argument was that he had been. Oh, sorry, I always think of Pete Townsend. Where's the book, Pete? Where's the fucking book? Peter Townsend.
He wrote an article for The Guardian or something.
Peter Townsend. Where's the fucking book, Peter? Because he got Peter Townsend of the Who got arrested. His computers got taken, and there's videos of it online.
Yeah.
His interviews and all that, and
there was videos online that he was in trouble for.
He basically got nothing happened to him because he was able to say to them that I'm researching a book.
No, but the thing with Pete Townsend was though that he claimed that he'd initially years before stumbled upon. I think like all these fucking rich rock stars and stuff. They kind of adopt kids from third world countries and stuff. So he claimed that he typed in. He claimed that he typed in like the Angelina Jolie thing. He claimed that he typed in like Russian orphanage. And like it brought up some child porn site, and that's how he'd initially discovered it. But the thing with Pete Townsend is he had already done.
Won't get fooled again.
No, he'd
Sure.
no, he'd done a a kind of editorial for the Guardian about
Behind the
how
eyes.
no listen shh.
You're doing
Just dreams down,
he's
just
trying to
dreams
get
down.
back in the East and reverse
I know.
Yates. He's trying
I
to
know, I know.
Yeah.
No, he done an editorial for the Guardian against how easy it was to basically
Get
access
arrested.
how to access child pornography. So he'd had a thing where he was basically wrote an article for the Guardian like denouncing credit card companies because credit card companies were taking payments for these sites. So the thing with him was he'd actually put a payment through one of these sites to show how easy it was, how Visa and MasterCard etc. were taking. Well, but the thing is, the article that he'd published in the Guardian was published before he was ever arrested. So he'd done the article, published the article in the Guardian. It was published in the Guardian months before,
Sure?
and then separately.
I've never heard that.
Well, I read it in his
I've
autobiography.
never-
So it's his word, right? So it's maybe bullshit.
I have never heard that it was published.
No,
after the fact.
he did a thing
I've
about
heard
it was
that
about
basically the publisher who he was working with backed him up and said, "Oh yeah, he's working on a book," and that's how he got away with it. Obviously, he got away with it,
but his claim was he'd done the article. The article had been published, and that was his defence. It'd already been published before he was even lifted. I don't doubt he's probably a pedo. These guys are all fucking pedo. Who else was it? Who? He's probably a pedo.
He just switched. It's like Peter Tovin's Bible John. He's never Bible John.
He's probably a pedo.
No, you
Who
can't
was it?
say that.
The guy in Led
You
Zeppelin.
can't
The guy
say
in Led
that.
Zeppelin who fucking like toured America for about 8 months with like a 12-year-old girl,
Robert
Plant. He
And,
planted his knob fucking right in there. Dirty bastard. Dirty fucking pervert. They're all perverts. Everyone that's famous. Everyone that's famous. Fucking Theresa May. Arnold
Madonna.
Schwarzenegger. Madonna. They're all perverts.
I tell you
Michael
what,
Whitehouse.
Robert planted his knob.
The picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger's illegitimate son is pretty funny.
It's like, he's not my son, he's like Arnold
He's like a
Schwarzenegger's
Latino.
Yeah. Have you seen him trying to recreate Terminator 2, the bar scene? There is a live recreation online of him trying to act out his dad doing the kind of close your boots and your motorcycle type thing.
No.
Close your boots.
Give me your close your boots.
Close
your boots.
Close your boots.
Close your boots. Your motorcycle.
Sorry, are you honestly getting on at me for my pronunciation of an Austrian attempting to speak
Okay,
English?
fair enough,
Fuck
fair
off.
enough.
Jabroni.
I don't, what have you even given me in this? What is in this?
You're
I
drinking
still
twist.
don't know.
Nightmare-
What does that mean? What is a little bit of a twist?
I don't know
Nightmare
if it's
fuel.
got you going, man.
Everyone's a pedo!
Him, you.
Callum's just lit the views. He's just standing
You
back.
are well familiar with that.
Oh,
fucking.
Oh, I know the McPhail measures. They are not to be messed with.
That's it.
But it's very difficult. I think that the
Look
most
at him, he's
difficult
deep in himself, he's questioning his own mortality. No, that's... For some reason, comments keep appearing and disappearing, I'm not entirely sure. Thanks, YouTube. Thing is, it's a difficult thing, because on the one hand, a lot of people are like, fuck YouTube, it's always
Do we
doing...
even have anyone watching? I don't think we even.
We do. It doesn't tell you on this, for some
got a
reason.
million people watching. Did you know that?
But
Still, look.
That's the weird thing about YouTube. It's like they do some really strange things to fuck you over, but there's a lot of people that like to come out and be critical of YouTube, but they're completely. They don't seem. They don't seem to think. They don't seem to think about the fact that YouTube provides you with a free forum to do. Like we're live streaming right now, courtesy of YouTube. We would never have the infrastructure in place to do
No,
that.
but that is true. That is true, and of course, like a lot of stuff that YouTube has done is fantastic. But at the same time, you can still, I think, criticise them when they take a misstep. What were you going to say, man?
Should we talk about horror in some respect?
Many ways.
I don't think we've touched on horror in about 45 minutes.
Well, we have actually. We've been talking about some pretty horrific shit.
I
But
know,
we're
I
talking
know.
about real horror,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
a TV series. That's not a TV
Oh,
series.
bring it back,
Yeah,
Warren.
okay.
What would you like to talk about? Would you like to talk about, in fact, the
Fantasia.
Fantasia. Sorry, Fantasia 2. Phantasm
What was
still hasn't
frightening when I
shown
was a
up.
kid?
What's happened with Phantasm?
What about it?
Well, the one
Ravager's
Ravager.
out.
What's
The
happening with
Ravager's
Ravager?
out.
It's out.
Long out.
Is it?
I mean, Reggie's rocking it.
Yeah, it's been out for ages.
Talk about it.
It's
I love this. The two of you are getting drunk, and I'm like,
Have you not been
I have been
having
drinking
some...
it, but just not been drinking as much as you guys.
Talk about it. Tell us some Ravager.
Well, I don't know. Have you? I take it you've not seen it then, right?
Reggie Yates.
No, Reggie. Reggie Yates, former
BBC.
Blue Peter.
Yeah,
former
CBBC news
former
round.
CBC. He's like he's a documentarian then.
Yeah, he is actually.
Yeah,
I think
he's
for
my cousin. He's my
thing is,
cousin.
I think
No,
for
he is. He is.
like in a very
Seriously?
long disconnected way.
No,
In
no,
the same
first
way that
cousin.
someone at my university told me they were connected to whatever Cassidy
No, me and
from
Reg.
Blade,
Me and Reg.
Blade
are-
Runner. Yeah, that's what I can tell. But actually, you've always got a very, very tan complexion. Actually, it makes sense.
Fuck's sake. Yeah, so Phantasm Ravager. It's not bad. It's very. It has
Cheap.
a bit of a. It has a bit of a
It's
shot on
cheap.
video vibe to it.
It's cheap.
It is pretty cheap, but the thing about it is it's cheap and it's kind of a disappointment in that sense, but it's also kind of almost unfortunately exactly the film that we all
I
wanted
haven't
and
watched the
expected
other
to see.
Phantasm films.
You only seen the
right,
first
so
one?
I think I've seen. I may have. I think I may have seen the third one when I was very
Yeah.
young, right? But like, are the sequels worth it, or are you just hanging on to the original?
No, the
That was
sequel.
a
The sequels
good-
are
a
the
good
thing about the
presentation.
Phantasm films is they've stayed. The Don Coscarelli, who made the first Phantasm, has been involved all the way through. So unlike Nightmare on Elm Street, unlike Friday the 13th, unlike even like the vast majority of like horror like franchises, it has stayed true to its roots. As bad or good as the different sequels have been, they've all kept that continuity. They've
Is
all
that because he's not
stayed-
been offered other work?
No, he's done loads of other stuff. I mean, he's done like Bubba Hotep was him.
Okay.
John Dies at the End. He's done a lot of different movies.
John Dies at the End. I
Spoilers.
have actually seen. Do we not? Do John Dies at the End in one of our horror Netflix?
I think so. Not with me though.
Did we do The Mist as part of horror Netflix? I feel we did.
Might have. I think we did.
There was a time where we were.
Whatever happened to
You
the
know,
horror of Netflix?
You said we're stopping doing it. We were quite happy.
Did
to
I
do
say?
it.
Was it
You, you
Did I
said
put the
no
camera-
one watches that, so we're not doing it anymore.
I don't remember this.
That's exactly what happened. Back me up. That's what happened.
Callum doesn't remember. Look
I
at
don't
him.
remember.
You do remember.
Michael's trying to rewrite history.
I tell you what, let's do one live. Who's seen Pet and the Pendulum?
Petting the pendulum.
I said Pet and the Pendulum. Have you seen it?
The thing
Have you
is,
seen it?
do you know
I
what I mean?
narrated the story. I've
Right.
not seen the film.
Yeah.
You've not seen
what,
the film. You've
the-
seen the film.
Has it got Lance Henriksen?
Which one? The,
Vince Price.
No, no.
oh yeah, the United Artists one.
Yeah. Well, the American International Picture. Sorry, that's now on Netflix. We can do that live.
Let's not do it live.
No one else has seen it other than me. You
No, I
thought
have
it was
seen
Lance
I've seen-
Henriksen.
No, I've
so
seen all. of
There is a
them.
Lance Henriksen version of
Yeah,
Pet
there
and
is.
the
There
Pendulum.
totally is, and he's got a weird haircut in it. In fact, the
Has he not got a bit of a Cadfael haircut?
It's got.
It's not got a bit of a Cadfael thing going
The
on.
interesting thing's got. If I remember right, let's get the cask of Amontillado in it as well. They do a
Is it?
wee scene, and the guy that comes in that he takes down into his cellar, and he's walking him along to show him this Amontillado.
Yeah.
And
Is that a
it's-
wine or something?
It's Ollie Reed. His
Who's
like he just
Ollie
turns up. Oliver Reed, the actor.
the original,
Who's Reed?
the ones on
Yeah.
Netflix, the one that's on Netflix anyway, has a number of Poe stories built into it. It's not just Pet and the Pendulum. The only Pet and the Pendulum part of it is the third act.
Yeah.
The rest of it has got like cask of armadillo and the rest of it.
Armadillo!
That has got a number of
Don't you on the
Poe
outside?
stories.
Is that
built-
the name for it? Armadillo.
It's got a number of Poe stories built into it, and fucking Vincent Price is just on top form when he's
He's
overacting.
always on. When was Vincent Price?
Vincent Price is amazing.
Not
Have you seen The Last Man on
top
Earth?
Yeah.
He's like, yes, I've created these stakes that separate the flesh. He's like so over the top. It's
I
amazing.
love Vincent Price.
He's a
though,
unique,
fantastic.
he's a unique creature.
Sorry. I'm
They're
watching,
just
I'm watching our
experiencing
live
that,
stream. Yeah, that's what they're getting.
Will we wrap things up?
Why not?
Do you guys want to go to the pub?
Martin's going to the pub. Let's go to the pub.
Want to go to the pub?
Right. Would you like to round things off with
Should we
anything?
talk about some horror? Because I feel like we've not.
Well,
talked
no, I
about
think
horror
we've
much.
been being fairly horror consistent throughout.
I think we have touched on some horror topics today. The thing is, this is the first time we've actually all been together for a wee while, and I say all of us. Alan's not here, Mick's not here, but
One day we'll get everyone together.
this is the first time that we've actually done like a sort of non-Google Hangout.
We should do a crowdfund
Live stream.
to get Mick to come to Scotland.
I pay for that.
Because crowdfunding
Pay
go
for
down
his
particularly
39
well on YouTube.
to pay for his
Definitely
30
not the end of
yeah, but
many
to
channels.
pay for like his £39 Ryanair flight, it's hardly gonna fucking break the bank.
That'd be an interesting one to get in the comments. Not that we're going to do it, but I seem to find that the majority of the channels that go crowdfund seem to get a very negative response. Not that we're going to do it. I'm just saying.
What do you mean? No, well, I think
there seems to be a
depends.
stigma associated with it.
There is a stigma associated to making money from.
He's sighing because he wants to go to the pub.
From doing YouTube videos, and making money from it. There is a stigma associated with that, and making money online, because I think people feel like you're not making something.
If there's an idea that making
I think
money,
that's bullshit.
there's an idea that making money from YouTube videos is like a scummy thing to do. We are squeaky fucking clean.
but I think it's
on one count at least.
But I think it's bullshit. I think that at the end of the day, putting adverts up or having a Patreon account, I think these things are positive things for people to fund making things. But I mean, I've always said that like I've got a Patreon account for my writing, and the way I use it is that I don't do like a monthly rolling thing like a lot of people do. Like I will, if I write a story, Patreon donators will get it first. Sometimes they will get it and no one else will get it, and I'll
and they can opt out of that.
I'll send it to them and they can opt out if they don't want to pay the dollar or whatever they've pledged, then they don't have to. But at the end of the day, they're getting something in return. I think it's when they're not getting something in return that's the issue. But look at Red Letter Media, so it depends.
Yeah, but they're golden gods.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. But even people like Kinda Funny, who have had major
controversy in recent years, they did kind of hang that guy out to dry at the same time. But
what's this?
It's a YouTube channel called Kinda Funny, which was
it's an ironic name because they're not funny.
Founded by 3 guys from IGN. They used to do a lot of their video content there, and then they decided to break away and set up their own YouTube channel.
One guy was like, all women are cunts. One
guy, Colin Moriarty, made a joke about, remember it was like, was it National Women Day or something like that?
Yeah.
Or National Women at Work Day or something like that, and women were saying like, some women were saying don't go to work to like protest something. I can't remember the exact.
Either way, it was some women's related issue. He made a joke, and the rest of the guys put him up the river.
Quiet day, right? So he made that joke, and it was clearly a joke, right? You might not find it funny, but it was clearly a joke, and he got a lot of shit for it, and his friends who ran Kinda Funny with him, they basically I think told him, oh, you need to resign. Because he says, oh, like, it was mutual consent, but he basically left because they're like, oh yeah, we can't have this. And it's like, they make jokes all the time that are taboo. They make them all the time, then all of a sudden he does something that's... Sometimes
we'd have nobody left.
Sometimes people are going to get offended, and I think at the end of the day, as long as it's given in a positive way, you're not actually... It's a joke, you're not meaning to offend anyone.
I'm sure Siobhan Head did a video about this. Siobhan Head, she's worth watching. She tackles a lot of like feminist issues and debunks a lot of the stuff that's kind of like pure sensationalism rather than actual legitimate things. If you want to watch someone on the subject, watch Siobhan Head.
It draws attention away from genuine injustices in the world, because
of which there are many.
Yeah, there are many, and there are many towards women. Yeah. But if you it's this fake outrage thing. If you're like outraged at a joke that someone makes that was very sort of just tongue in cheek, and it to the point where you want the person to be sacked, does that really actually?
But there's a lot of that though as well that people people have kind of, I don't want to say evolved, but people have kind of transposed themselves into this thing where they can't handle someone having a counterpoint to them, and rather than debating it, they would rather completely wipe that person out, so they can't have that.
Yeah. But that's the kind of almost the disturbing thing, because quite often the person that people feel outraged towards, is in the wrong, but nobody wants to debate them. They just want to silence them. Yeah. And it's this kind of thing where, give you an example. I went to the Anne Frank Museum in Amsterdam.
This wasn't post Justin Bieber, was it?
It was post Justin Bieber, but it during at the end, once you've sort of finished doing the tour of the Anne Frank Museum, there's a kind of a final section where they show you various controversial points, right? So the idea being to challenge people's perspectives, whether they're left wing or right wing,
National Socialist,
or Callum. So
You're going to need it now.
we're going to hear it in. Yeah, we'll throw him
I'm
under
not
the
a
bus.
National
Wait till the end of-
Socialist.
wait
I'm
till the
quite
end of
far
the
from
stream.
it. I know.
One of the points was that National Socialists were wearing white laces in their boots to show National Socialism. So they're walking about white boot laces as a sign of National Socialism. And
But
they had a
brown
vote.
shirts.
They had a vote as to whether to ban white laces. So it was like a kind of thought experiment. Would you ban white laces? And most people voted no. I wouldn't ban white laces. And there was a few people there at the Anne Frank Museum who were completely, why would anyone not vote to ban white laces? But to me, if you were to go, right, we're going to ban anyone with white bootlaces, it's like such a petty thing. It's like it like forces that kind of thought.
Well, that's the same
outrage as well, because I fucking love white
bootlaces.
But
But
it's the
the
same mentality
idea-
as National Socialism. Once you start down that road.
Exactly. So what happens when, instead of allowing it to be in the open and dealing with it in an open forum and being able to defeat it on the grounds of open debate and open rational sort of discussion, if you instead create laws to suppress it, you almost create a sense where people go, what is the man trying to hide here?
Peter Tobinism. Rob.
Yeah, no, but like, do you see what I mean? Like people are going to think this is something that is like a cover up. Do you know what I mean? People are going to think this is like the truth, and people are trying to hide it. By banning it, you're almost giving it a sense of like.
See, to round it off, have you seen
important
Look
than it
Who's
is.
Back?
No.
Look Who's Back, I believe, is still on Netflix. It's a very, very interesting pseudo-documentary where it's half fictional, half factual. This is the thing where they bring an actor in as Hitler, right?
Yeah.
And it's partially fictional where there's a story running concurrently through it, but at the same time they have a guy dressed as Hitler going out into the German public and see stuff, and most people are kind of like, it's funny in the sense that it's quite taboo and just dismiss it. But he starts going to a lot of these kind of resurgent Aryan bars and stuff like that, and there's guys with skinheads and stuff like that. Same thing you would get in 1933 and stuff like that are going, yeah, we need someone like the Führer to come out, we need someone like yourself to come back to lead us into this like Aryan nation. And it's scary how quickly history can repeat itself.
You know, like a kind of Ali G type thing where they go in and pretend.
Yes and no, but he doesn't. He commits to it in a sense that he doesn't stop them. He doesn't make any attempt to steer them away from it. He acts like adult Hitler. Adolf Hitler.
As opposed to baby Hitler.
He acts like Adolf Hitler. He acts like Adolf Hitler for the duration of it, right? He doesn't deviate from that in any way, and he goes into these things. And there's these white supremacists there that are quite happy to see him there and kind of feel that should do it. And you realise that there's actually this social undercurrent still there that are doing it, and it seems dangerously close to the.
I know, but it's here as well. I think it's everywhere.
You kept BNP and everything.
I know people who genuinely believe, I know people who genuinely believe that Hitler was right, and it's fucking terrifying.
Really?
I don't mean I know them like as good friends.
Watch that documentary anyway. There's very entertaining parts of it where Hitler's trying to work out the internet and stuff like that. But the other part of it where they have the kind of the factual part of it.
Is this Adolf or Adult?
Adolf.
Adult Hitler.
Adult Hitler is my
Baby
stand-up
Hitler's
routine.
adorable, but Adult Hitler. Anyway. Thank you very much for watching. Those that did today and those that will in the future.
Yeah.
I imagine there are more in the future than currently.
This is probably a time zone we will not stick to in the future.
It did occur to me that 5 p.m. is kind of a nothing.
Yeah, well, usually we'll go for like 10
We've
p.m.
done it this time before and it was okay.
Yeah.
So,
more people liked us then.
But I think as well with the live streams, we've said this before, is that the live streams, in my opinion, have been really successful. The ones where we're actually doing something specific on them. But I've still had a grand day, chaps.
Quite so.
Chatting with you.
We're going to continue to have a grand day when we go to the pub.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay. And we will see you all in the next video. So thanks very much for walking.
Thanks for joining us. But also the many people, actually the majority of people catch us up afterwards.
Yeah.
Drop us a comment if you'd like to speak about any of the things there.
Please do. The
quicker
is not over.
The quicker you ask it, the quicker you will get us in our current state. However you ask it later on, you'll get us sober and you'll get a completely rational answer. If you get us right now, you might get something controversial, a little bit juicy.
Get us on Facebook. Facebook's good. Facebook's good too.
Yeah.
We'll get a notification. See if you get us on Facebook, we'll get a notification.
I get a notification to my phone anyway, which is not great when we start going out.
Thanks, Meat Juice, for watching. Meat Juice.
Nice, right. What does he say?
See,
you right. You got a bunch of.
The weird thing as well though is like it deleted a lot of people. There were some initial people that were leaving comments, and then like Facebook wipes them out, which is thanks Facebook.
Well,
but other than that,
Facebook wiped out. Facebook came in and went. Nah.
Facebook's gonna.
Facebook.
We've got a bunch of stuff coming up soon. Narrations. Films galore, so hope you all stay tuned for that.
We'll hopefully have a live stream more frequently than we currently do, because it's not particularly hard for us to do. It's just getting us all in one.
We should commit to 1 or 2 a month in that opinion.
Yeah. We should get Mick out here for a live stream.
Well, he's supposedly coming.
And then send him home immediately afterwards.
Yeah. Put him straight on a flight.
The live subtitles will be difficult,
I know.
But we will manage.
No worse than fucking Glaswegian though.
I know.
True.
Probably better.
Hey! Live stream.
What was that, Italian?
Right.
Hey!
Bye to everyone. Bye bye everyone. Callum, hit the button.
Alright.